again I'm falling. Sometimes I'm gaining. Then again I'm losing. Sometimes I'm rising. Yes, sir. Then again I'm falling. Let Jesus work it out. Please, your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Please, your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Please, your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Oh, work it out. You work it out for Mother Teresa. Sometimes I'm gaining, then again I'm losing. Sometimes I'm rising, yes sir. Then again I'm falling. Sometimes I'm gaining, then again I'm losing. Sometimes I'm rising, yes sir. Then again I'm falling. Let Jesus work it out. Please, your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Please, your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Please, your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Oh, work it out. You work it out for Mother Teresa.
All right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is David Patrick Harry with Church of the Eternal Logos. And today we got another special edition of our little news program here. There's so much to cover in basically the last, week and a half since I did my last one. We talked a little bit about the Trump inauguration and all his executive orders. Well, today we're going to be hitting on a few different interesting topics. I think, and I already see people talking about it in the chat. One of notable discussion is Trump talking about the U.S. taking over Gaza. And so I have a bunch of stuff pulled up that we're going to be looking at his speech. So Bibi Netanyahu, the, what's according to the International Criminal Courts, is a war criminal. And I saw that today Trump is going to now be going after the ICC, the International Criminal Court. And Bibi made his way to America as the first foreign leader to have a private meeting with Donald Trump, in which we saw in the press conference Trump claim that the U.S. may take over Gaza and begin to build on its prime real estate and basically ship the Palestinians somewhere. He mentioned potentially Jordan or Egypt. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that. And there's been some interesting theories coming out regarding this. Is it 5D chess? We've talked about before, and this is going to actually play a central theme in today's conversation because Trump has issued an executive order combating anti-Semitism. He has sent $1 billion. I think the Congress has held it up, so I don't think it's gone through yet. But $1 billion worth of bombs sent to Israel. And his general disposition towards Israel seems a bit concerning. So as I said last time, it seems like we're getting a reprieve. Us Americans, we've been under the communist boot of the progressive left, along with the neocon Trotskyite right. And so we're getting some reprieve in regards to domestic policy, American prosperity, all types of great executive orders. Today, he had one of the largest tax cuts in American history today. And apparently, from what I heard, there's actually a bill already put in Congress to abolish income tax. So phenomenal. I couldn't even imagine something like that. But it seems like there is a sort of give and take here, and our Zionist allegiance to the state of Israel, to the country of Israel, seems to only be strengthened. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that and how that may or may not relate to our Orthodox eschatology. There's this conspiracy, or what I was talking about with the 5D chess, is there's videos of Netanyahu when Trump actually announced the U.S. takeover of Gaza, and he does appear to be a bit surprised. So this has led some commentators online to speculate that maybe this wasn't really an advance by the American establishment to take over Palestine, Gaza, but really this was a way in which to sort of oversell. And this is the art of the deal. And Trump's actually taking Netanyahu off guard, or trying to put pressure on him in some way. Now, Saudi Arabia and all the surrounding countries, Egypt, Jordan, has said hell no to the idea that the U.S. would take over Gaza and basically kick the Palestinians out, which I don't know if you guys saw today that the one of the higher ups in the Israeli government regarding military said that Spain and Ireland are going to be forced to take in the Palestinians. Very interesting. Now, other news that we're going to be talking about, I don't know if you guys caught the Tucker Carlson interview with Piers Morgan. Pretty interesting. Tucker Carlson's been a little bit under attack for questioning the winners of World War II, and I got a clip to play about that. We got Michael Knowles having Nala, the former porn star, formerly OnlyFans girl, now Christian apparently, and Michael Knowles trying to continue to sanitize her image. And so we got a little video that I want to show you guys of Nala doing her, her stay-at-home wife sort of new social media gig, where she shows people what she cooks. And ironically, it's incredibly sexualized, which seems to be counter to this whole Reformed Christian narrative that Michael Knowles was a part of. And him and his team tried to frame Andrew Wilson, a friend of ours, shout out to the Wilsons, as like bigoted haters of Reformed Christian women, not really Christian, lack sincerity and compassion for repentant people. So we're going to be looking a little bit at that. Also, since the last time we chatted, Destiny is now being sued. Everybody's most hated online debater. I guess depends on who you are. I assume most people on my chat would agree with me. Destiny is one of these sexual degenerates who, is into everything, brags about how much he likes to taste. Again, if anybody has children in the room, earmuffs. Let's just say Destiny brags about giving men fellatio. We'll put it that way. He loves the taste of it. He was a cuck. He would enjoy watching his wife, former wife, ex-wife at this point. Well, it turns out he just posted revenge porn of a girl named Pixie. Some of you guys maybe know of online. And without her permission, and because he's a sexual degenerate who is totally led about by his sexual urges, for some reason or another, he sent naked photos of Pixie to a 19-year-old girl who then in turn just posted him online. And now he is being sued in a criminal lawsuit for that. And other people have joined because apparently Destiny was also filming girls he was sleeping with without their permission, some of which knew, some did not know. And so it's almost like the progressive radical left's own little Epstein island. Now, obviously not an island and not Epstein, not working for Mossad, but Destiny, who moralizes about his progressive values, continues to be the ultimate degen on the internet. So we're going to be talking about that. The helicopter crash. I don't know if you guys were following the helicopter crash that hit the airliner in Virginia. And a lot of interesting stuff coming out of that. Donald Trump was attacked because as soon as that that crash happened, so a Black Hawk helicopter was flown straight into the side of a commercial airliner who had, I think it was up to like 70 some. It held 78 is from what I heard, passengers on the plane. But we know that 66 people perished. So there were a handful of survivors. And Donald Trump was criticized because he immediately came out and saying that DEI was part of this problem. And this led to an executive order basically reforming the FAA and their hiring practices that, according to what's literally on the books, the FAA, which is your air traffic controllers, were interested in trying to hire minorities, people that had what it was like mental disabilities, minorities, LGBTQ people, all this type of stuff. And we've also seen a skyrocket in plane crashes as of recent. So are these things connected? Well, we find out that the pilot of the Black Hawk helicopter was a former Biden aide. She is a lesbian. She is a leftist, and she only had 500 hours of flying experience, which is relatively low for somebody doing that type of job. So was DEI at play? Who knows? Was it a smart play by Trump blaming it on DEI? Because the next day he was able to do an executive order, and seems like most people in the country were in favor of it. I don't know. I don't know. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then one of the other things I have, and we have more stuff than this that I have pulled up, UFC fighter Bryce Mitchell. If you guys are familiar with Bryce Mitchell, he's a good old boy. I think he lives in Arkansas, and conservative guy. A little bit on the conspiracy theory side. So he is a flat earther, a biblical literalist, and says things that I certainly appreciate, and promotion of his Christian faith and everything like that. Very good old boy Americana. Well, this past week, he was on an interview and claimed that he loved, or at least he liked, mean little mustache man. And this has caused some interesting blowback. So I got a video of that little clip of him talking about how he likes Mr. Adolf. And that includes then a response by Sean Strickland, who has a fight coming up in Saudi Arabia this Saturday. Responding to that, Sean Strickland, also a very, white American UFC fighter, very outspoken on his opinions. Going over that, along with Logan Paul saying what should happen to Bryce Mitchell. And as you could guess, Logan Paul, being the establishment shill that he is, who he himself, remember the whole Japanese thing when he got caught. He filmed the forest in Japan where people go to commit suicide. And he did that for YouTube clicks and videos, and then he was shunned and all this different stuff. Well, he thinks the same thing should happen to Bryce Mitchell. So interesting, certainly not a free speech absolutist. So we got all that stuff in store today, tons of content to get into. So it should be here for a while, should be a pretty fun stream. So God bless you guys. Smash that like. Major thank you to Justin Henley, gifted a COTEL Crew membership. Thank you so much, Justin. And David James Flood also gifted a COTEL Crew membership. Thank you so much. And guys, don't forget that we have members only content here on YouTube now. I have almost a 3-hour video on Orthodox eschatology. And that video specifically comes from reading of the Eschatological Visions of the Blessed by the Eschaton Vigil, of which the second edition is coming out either today or in the next few days this week. So make sure you check that out. And if you want to hear more on eschatology and some of the prophecies of church elders and saints, go check that out as a YouTube member. You'll begin to get access. I'm going to start posting more videos over there for YouTube members. So thank you so much, Justin Henley and David James Flood, for supporting. Josiah Elleron throws in 10. Thank you so much, Josiah. He says, God bless you, brother. Keep doing God's work. Thank you so much. Will do. And Rogue Runner is here. He throws in $2. Says, bro, you've been a huge help to me. Thank you. Well, I'm humbled if I've helped in any way. God bless you both and your families. And so let me just check real quick before we begin to dive into all this stuff. Justin throws in $5 over on Dono Chat and says, first, Dennis Prager supports pornography. True. I don't know if you guys saw this, that Dennis Prager was having a conversation. What was it? Pints of Aquinas, I believe. This was, what, a year or two ago, where Pints of Aquinas, which is a Catholic YouTube channel, he's kind of a Catholic apologist. And he had a conversation with Dennis Prager on sexuality, and Dennis Prager came out in favor of pornography because, as he articulates within his Jewish perspective, his religion, Judaism, doesn't consider it a sin unless you actually commit adultery. And so masturbating or watching pornography, Dennis Prager made the argument that this was actually good and healthy for long-term marriages. So Justin Henley says, first, Dennis Prager supports pornography. Now Michael Knowles supports a former, he says, cornstarch. I like that. I'm going to start using that. Using her sexuality to grift as a trad housewife. Yes. And that is quite clear. And I think it's, well, let me finish your super chat, Justin, and then I'll get into it. But Andrew isn't a true Christian because he's mean and smokes. Lord have mercy. Yeah, I know, right? So Andrew Wilson, he can't be an actual Orthodox Christian because he swears and smokes and maybe lives a little bit more on the edgier side with the way he debates. But a woman who literally has been producing pornography, made millions of dollars of it. And I'm going to show you a video today of her literally putting out this trad housewife cooking vlog video where it's incredibly sexual. She's licking the utensils and making eye contact. She's not reformed. And in fact, as we'll talk about, this Nala chick, in one of the whatever appearances, I believe the one that Michael Knowles tried to clip and frame Andrew poorly, she doesn't even believe in actual, like, true Christology. She was rejecting that Jesus Christ is God. Well, he is God, but the Father is God. She didn't even know what the hell she was talking about. And she barely even has true traditional Christian belief. She's one of these do-it-yourself, these these DIY type Christians that just read scripture and come up with their own interpretation. So it's pretty sad. It's pathetic. And to see Michael Knowles defend it, this is one of the things that I think about is Daily Wire is no longer like even producing, how do I want to frame it? The cutting edge of the cultural zeitgeist, right? So there's no doubt the Overton window has changed since Trump took office. And there's no doubt that the cultural tide is changing. And there's no doubt that you can say things and more people believe certain things than you could probably 5-10 years ago, for sure. And for the last, decade? How long's Daily Wire been existent? I mean, I don't, was it at least the last 5 to 6, 7 years, right? At the beginning, Daily Wire, it had Knowles and Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro, and they were sort of the leading voice of American conservatism, right? And now, I mean, all they are reactionary. Their whole shtick is just like reacting and being morally upset about culture, but they really don't offer much. And this is why I think when you see Candace Owens break off, and now she's way bigger than the Daily Wire itself, and she's doing things like exposing Brigitte Macron, which I didn't even bring up. Maybe we should dive into that today. Have you guys been following what Candace Owens has been doing with Jean-Michel Trogneau, basically uncovering and proving that Brigitte Macron, the wife of Emmanuel Macron, the Prime Minister of France or President of France, is in fact a man and did in fact transition to become a woman in her later 30s. And that's when he began to have a sexual relationship with then 15-year-old Emmanuel Macron. So this is all being uncovered in the French government or whatever type of representation of the Macrons. They've been sending like cease and desist letters and threatening letters of lawsuits to Candace Owens, which doesn't matter because we're in the United States. So, unless she goes to France, that's the only way that she could, be found guilty or imprisoned or anything like that. So it doesn't really matter. But that's been fantastic and fascinating. But my point being is Candace Owens actually doing things, right? Whether you agree with her or not, and maybe however you feel, but at least she's producing interesting cutting edge content that is actually like contributing to like the cultural zeitgeist and movement at play here. Whereas the Daily Wire, like I never really was into it. There was a period when it was like, what is a woman, that I would watch a little bit of Matt Walsh, but then even that got pretty like sanitized, and I don't know, it's just kind of boring for me. So I really don't watch any Daily Wire. And when I looked at the videos, I mean, Ben Shapiro, he really doesn't get that many views for how big his channel is. Like the entire media force behind Ben Shapiro seems to be totally dissolving. And in fact, that was one of the things that they were very, Jeremy, I got to pull up that one. I totally forgot about Jeremy Boring getting all hot and bothered because Tucker Carlson pointed out that people like Ben Shapiro are more concerned about the interest of Israel than the United States, which is a fact. All you got to do is listen. In one of the videos, he literally said that his allegiance to America is totally dependent on its support for Israel. Well, then you're not really American. You're an Israeli who lives in America and has a U.S. passport. That's not exactly the same thing. So, yeah. Dave says Daily Wire is so gatekeeping. It absolutely is. And it just doesn't produce anything. Like, I don't even understand how they're going to continue to make money. Brett Cooper, who they did that, what was it, Cinderella, like remake or something. They made like a featured film, like kind of like a Hollywood film. Some of you guys may know. I'm not sure. I think it was like Cinderella or something like that, but maybe it was Sleeping Beauty. I'm not sure. But Brett Cooper, former talent at the Daily Wire, Snow White. Thank you, Mojo. Thank you. It's Snow White. Brett Cooper plays Snow White. Apparently, Jeremy Boring's like longtime passion is to get into Hollywood, which he was kind of out. It was kind of his failed initial career, was to be like a Hollywood producer, director, this type of thing. And so he's using Daily Wire to essentially do this now. And Brett Cooper, she was the leading talent at Daily Wire. Isn't it amazing how, everybody, new people come in, Candace Owens comes in, she becomes the most viewed person at the Daily Wire. Then she gets fired because she questions the Palestinian-Israel narrative. Brett Cooper comes in. She becomes the most viewed person at the Daily Wire. She also questions some of the things going on in Israel and Palestine. And all of a sudden she's outed. And anyways, Jeremy Boring got super hot and bothered because Tucker Carlson had the gall to question Ben Shapiro's loyalty to the United States. And I maybe will find that if you guys are interested in that. But yeah, we got a ton of stuff to get into. So let me just begin to pull up some of these tweets. Oh, before we do, let's do a little bit of housekeeping real quick. I apologize. I know everybody's anxious to kind of dive into all this stuff. And I got a video of a transgender. So Trump has some type of executive order. There's been so many, I can't even follow them. But apparently he did one that limits the financial aid you get for like sex hormones to become transgender. And I got this man you'll watch it. I actually can't watch it without like totally breaking down and laughing. But anyways, we'll just get into it in just a second. So guys, if you want to support my work, one of the best things you can do is go over to my website and become a website member. We have 3 different types of memberships. The premium membership, we just had a think tank meeting last night, which a lot of us covered many things that we're going to be discussing today. It's a free forum, private Zoom meeting of people from all around the world. And we just talk about various topics at hand. For $25 a month, or if you get a year's worth, you can get 2 months free. You can become a premium member and join our think tanks. We got a fitness membership and, of course, exclusive video content with all my notes that I create for various streams for $5 a month. Also, if anybody would be interested in signing up for a one-on-one session, you can do so with this link right here. Would greatly appreciate that. And if anybody would like to sponsor a stream, tomorrow night we'll be doing a sponsored stream on the city of London. So very interesting stream. We'll be talking about London, its history, its historical importance, how it became a financial capital, and the interesting relationship between the Rothschilds in London, most specifically Nathan Rothschild. So we'll be diving into all that stuff tomorrow night. So if you guys also have a topic you would like to sponsor for a live stream, please do so with this link right here. I'd greatly appreciate that. We have, let's see, the London stream, and then the next one is on Romanian saints and Orthodox Christians that were persecuted under communism. A gentleman from Romania actually sponsored that stream, and I got it. That one's going to take a little bit more research because I'm not totally familiar with all that stuff, but that should be a really fun stream. And I suspect what I'll do is have a lot of videos of various people who actually survived those horrific events from Romania. So anyways, that's that. Also, last thing I just want to say, guys, if you're in the market for any Orthodox items, check out orthodoxdepot.com, orthodoxdepot.com. Use promo code COTEL, and you will get 10% off all products. It's a great way to help me out as well as a good Orthodox company here in the Midwest. So check out orthodoxdepot.com, use promo code COTEL, and you can support my work as well as another Orthodox company. Okay, so first things first, man, I have been working in this office all day, and my eyes are must be staring at this damn screen all damn day. Anyways, okay, let's get into wait till you guys see how many tabs I have pulled up here. Okay, so you can see I have a ton of tabs pulled up that we got to get through today. And I'm going to need my speaker because we got some multiple videos for today's stream. And before I get going, I need a nicotine pouch. So let me grab a little nicotine. If you know anybody out there needs to grab a little upper decky, feel free. This is the time. This is the time. All right. So I want to begin with the plane crash of the helicopter and the airliner. You can see right here. If you guys haven't seen it, here is the video. And the question is, and I thought maybe tonight we're going to do some more polling. And the first poll I thought would be worthwhile is, was this intentional? Was this intentional? I'm going to leave that up to you guys. But here's the video that got leaked to CNN. And apparently the people that were working at the FAA or the particular, I don't know exactly where they were working. I know two people were caught leaking this video to CNN and they got fired immediately. But here is the video. So you can see right here the helicopter. Let me zoom in. Might be helpful. You see the helicopter and the airliner, which is coming across the river here to land. And it seems to just drive.
The American Airlines plane can be seen flying towards the airport before the two collide, causing a mid-air explosion and fall into the river. In a second video, you can see the Army helicopter and American Airlines plane travel toward each other. After the collision and subsequent explosion, the airliner can be seen spinning into the water, and the Black Hawk is also seen falling into the water.
So, is it the woman, I don't want to be too misogynist, but one of the things my wife always gets on me is when we're driving and somebody in front of me is driving terribly, I always say, I bet that's a woman. And if you ask my wife, 99, let's say at least, let's hedge our bets, 95 to 90% of the time, it usually is. And you watch this video and it looks like the female pilot flew directly into the airliner, which again, doesn't make a whole lot of sense in this. Like, why would somebody do that? It killed all 3 people on board of the helicopter, killed 66 people in the airliner. This woman was working in the Biden administration. So here's the next thing I want to show you is that this is her right here. I think her name's like Rachel Lobach or something, or Rebecca Lobach. And so this guy says lesbian Biden aide accidentally rams military aircraft into airliner, killing 70. Oh, okay. So it's gone up since I last saw. So it's up to 70 dead now. And I believe from at least the first night it happened, 4 to 5 people survived the airliner. But now 70 dead is an absolutely nightmare headline for the previous regime. To put it mildly, there are powerful incentives for officials to muddy the waters of this investigation. And so you can see she was an outspoken LGBTQ member. She self-identified as a lesbian. She was a helicopter pilot, and for some reason, she was part of the Biden White House, which I'm not totally sure. And this was the statement of the Lobach family. Josiah here says, there is a lot we don't know for sure. For one, I have seen no explicit public statements as to Lobach's sexuality. There are numerous pieces of evidence, however, that suggest that she was LGBT, like the photos above. That would also explain her presence as a social aide in the White House. Unofficial DEI considerations absolutely played a role in making those determinations. There is no chance that Lobach was not at fault for the accident. And this is where people, the media went crazy because Trump immediately blamed DEI for this. And there's like, how would he know? How would he know? Well, maybe he already had a piece of information other people didn't have, and he knew that a former Biden aide at the White House, lesbian, with really low amounts of hours as a helicopter pilot, 500 really isn't that much, flew directly into an airliner. And she was basically 200. She was way higher than the airline pilot or the helicopter was supposed to be, which I'll show you in just a second, of Charlie Kirk discussing it. So this seems unlikely, though. She was at the controls and being evaluated when her aircraft crashed. She was being evaluated. And apparently, at least what I heard, maybe this was a rumor, that the command center, the air traffic controller, told the headset of the people in the helicopter twice, hey, you guys are heading right towards an airliner. You need to turn. You're heading right towards an airliner. And bam. Apparently, she never deviated course, but she was at the controls being evaluated when her aircraft crashed. Moreover, she has been explicitly warned. She had been explicitly warned by the tower to visually identify the America Airlines flight and pass behind, which she clearly did not. At the very least, this investigation needs to be carefully monitored by the Trump administration officials and independent journalists. My sense is that investigators are going to be under a lot of pressure to pin the blame on CW2 Andrew Eves, the instructor. And he says, holding women accountable is not an army value. The amount of unpunished professional and personal misbehavior by female service members I've witnessed first and secondhand has absolutely convinced me of this point. So here's what Charlie Kirk has said as of recent concerning some of the facts regarding this case.
So there's breaking news about the horrific crash over the Potomac. So the female pilot that was flying the helicopter, what we've learned is that the helicopter was flying nearly twice as high as it should have been. And it was up to 1 mile off course, was warned multiple times not to be in this area. The video shows that there was no evasive maneuvers when the collision was imminent. So either they wanted the collision to happen, which I do not believe, or that they were so bad at flying and they had night vision on and they were so distracted that, boom, they went right into a moving aircraft. And that is the other important thing to remember, that it was a moving target, which means definitionally an interception is actually much harder because you must time up 2 simultaneously very fast moving objects in the air at the same altitude at the same time. And the more that we learn, the more we realize this was so preventable.
So with that being said, let's post our first poll today and ask, I'm curious what you guys think. So let's say, Helicopter crash. Helicopter crash. Accident. Incompetence. Or deliberate. So accident, incompetence, or intentional. What are your guys' thoughts on this helicopter crash? Clearly, she wasn't very skilled at the job she was performing. But the video for the helicopter to hit the airliner, I mean, that, as again, maybe I have my own personal differences with some of the things Charlie Kirk has said. I believe he's a big fan of the U.S. and Gaza thing, which we'll get into here in a few. But I mean, how do you hit an airliner in mid-flight when, again, the tower's telling you multiple times to, one, you're in the wrong area, you're too high, and you need to watch out for the American airliner that's getting ready to come through. Which one is it? So let's see. As of right now, we got 66 votes. Guys, vote on YouTube. Give us some feedback here. Looks like the majority of you guys, we got 48% intentional, 45% incompetence, and 7% accident. So we'll let that set for a few and see what you guys come up with. So next thing I want to show you guys, and this is something that I think is fantastic. We got to give Trump credit where credit is due and call him out. And we're certainly getting ready to call him out on some of the Israel stuff here in just a few. But this is a good thing. Here we have Trump and his executive order basically banning transgender women, so biological men, from competing in female sports. Fantastic. This is Riley Gaines. She's the former Kentucky Olympic swimmer, and she has been a major advocate for women's spaces and female sports, and been very outspoken against transgender women. And so she said the NCAA has officially changed their transgender participation policy effective immediately. That was 2 hours ago. So this happened today. And this was yesterday of Trump signing his executive order banning transgender athletes from participating in women's sports. And I'll play you that video in just a second. But the reason why I kept it here is right underneath this. What I love is, have you guys, I like golf. It's one of my recent hobbies I picked up, especially last summer, trying to get a little better at it. Do like playing golf. And there was news about this Haley Davidson, this dude who, look at this, doesn't even look like a chick. I mean, looks like literally a man with earrings on and fake tits. Won like a few golf tournaments against biological women. And so transgender golfer Haley Davidson has retired from golf after President Trump has banned transgenders from competing in women's sports. Hilarious. Hilarious. So credit where credit is due. And here is Trump's signing of that.
Watch what I do. Then I'm going to give you some pens. Okay? You ready? What a nice picture this is, huh, Governor? You ready? We'll do a good job. Wait, let me press that. I want to make this a really good signature because this is a big one, right? Oh, I think we have a 10. We have a 10. God bless you. Pretty good, huh? Okay.
So anyway, signed the executive order banning transgender athletes. Fantastic. And this is the funny video, guys, I found today that I had to show you. So this is a transgender woman. So this is a biological man. And apparently one of the other executive orders that Trump had signed, this may have been the flurry, and we didn't even cover it in the last news stream, where he signed, I think it was like 200 executive orders. One of them is that insurance isn't allowed to cover cross-sex hormones anymore. And so listen to this, man. I mean, it sounds like satire. I mean, look at this. This clearly looks like a man with a wig on, and then you just have to watch the video.
So about the pharmacy, and insurance isn't covering medications anymore, thanks to executive orders that were signed. So I had to pay for them out of my own pocket. And I guess I'm just mostly recording this as "and I told you so" to certain family members that I warned. And just hope you're happy, Mom.
I'm sure she is. I'm sure his mother is actually quite happy that he will now have to pay extra to get his estrogen and cross-sex hormones so that he can begin to grow breasts and increase his estrogen. So, yeah, Morai says this guy should be in a mental health institution taking sleeping pills so that the neuron can rest. But I saw this today and I literally laughed out loud and I thought, oh my God, I had to include that in the section with Trump's transgender executive order today, even though I think the EO that he signed is from a week or two ago. But just the voice, the wig, him upset at his mom because she voted for Trump. He thinks that his life is under threat because he has to now pay extra for hormones. It's like, it's so good. It's so good. I love it. Shout out to Josh Betts, throws in $2, says the Holy Spirit is at St. Innocent, Redford, Michigan. Shout out to Josh Betts. God bless you, brother. Thank you so much for the support. And Ed throws in $5, no comment. Thank you so much, Ed. Really appreciate that. Hopefully by the end of today's stream, we can reach the YouTube super chat goals if possible. Ted Taint Nuffin. Taint Nuffin throws in Tid, says there should be unisex sports, which would force 99% of women out of sports. Female athletes have major problems with fertility rates, and female sports aren't fun to watch. Well, I don't disagree with you on female sports aren't fun to watch. Besides beach volleyball, some of those sports are, some of the female Olympic sports, but I digress. I'm halfway kidding. I agree with you. I do not watch women's sports. Women's like basketball. I mean, it's terrible to watch. I'd rather watch high school boys. High school boys basketball is so much superior to female women's WNBA. I mean, literally, I've watched because, here in Indiana, everybody loves Caitlin Clark, who kind of disappointing. Turned out she's kind of a liberal. And everybody thought she was a good Catholic girl from Iowa. Well, she's kind of a liberal, progressive person. But anyways, always apologizing for being white. But anyways, here in Indiana, she's very, very popular. And I caught just a little bit of one of her fever games, and I literally saw a woman shoot a layup and hit the bottom of the rim. I mean, just atrocious. It's like watching. Now, Caitlin Clark's pretty entertaining, pretty good at sports, pretty good at basketball. But in general, watching female sports is atrocious. No doubt about that. Yeah, women's UFC. I get it in regards to the skill set. There's some of the women that are pretty skilled, but it's hard to watch. Watching women like beat on each other, and then they get their face cut. There's blood everywhere. It's too violent for women. We need, and really this is where I would agree with the pushback, is that we need to begin to celebrate femininity. Right. So you watch the UFC, and I'll probably watch this Saturday with the Sean Strickland fight. And you have like women that are half naked between the rounds carrying the cards. And then you have women inside the ring that are literally like covered in blood. Now I watched a few female fights. They were entertaining, but I'm generally repulsed by women fighting. And yeah, and there's this new push. I don't know if you guys saw, and there's going to be a commercial during the Super Bowl. Pat McAfee, he's a former punter for the Indianapolis Colts. So here in Indiana, Pat McAfee is huge, and he has a sports show now on ESPN called the Pat McAfee Show, and it's kind of like some good old boys, white, sports loving type Midwestern guys, and he is in a commercial for the Super Bowl, which is trying to promote female flag football. And apparently this is going to become a official high school sport across the country. not too interested in that. Apparently it debuted by showing 2 high school teams doing flag football at the NFL Pro Bowl this last weekend. So I don't know. I think we need to celebrate motherhood. We need to celebrate traditional femininity. We need to celebrate traditional gender roles. And like you, Tane, I'm not a huge fan of women's sports in general and watching them beat on each other or whatever it may be. So anyways, another super chat just came in from Jay Hamza. Shout out to Jay. God bless you, brother. He says, one thing that led me to understand true Christians and how we should be is a start with the book of James. It's very difficult to read because it really has you reflect on what you feed your spirit with. Well, yeah, great point. Do enjoy the book of James. Wait, I'm not sure what the book of James is. I misread that initially. What's the book of James? You guys don't know what the book of James is? Now we're introducing the world's strongest woman. Anyways, thank you, Jay. I do appreciate the super chat. God bless you, brother. And anyways, let's continue on, because Christianity is going to actually come up today because Trump signed an executive order creating a banning all. I have to reread it again. Basically, putting a Christian task force together to end all Christian persecution, if you want to put it that way, by the U.S. government. Anyways, we'll get into it. I have it up here. So next thing we got, this is an interesting combo. I know some people always say Tucker Carlson, dad worked CIA, he's still a CIA shill. Maybe so. And he has some opinions I disagree with. But one of the things that he's been doing as of late that I think is really interesting is he had a guy named Daryl. He has his online handle is called Martyr Made, and he has a podcast. And this really introduced a discussion concerning the role of Winston Churchill and the victors of World War II and what exactly has been going on. Because you look at these Western nations that supposedly won World War II, and they certainly don't look like they've won a war. Well, this came out, and I remember Jeremy Boring was one that responded to it, and Martyr made a comment that this is like the underpinning theology of the neoliberal world order is like, again, the narrative surrounding World War II and what happened after that. And that this is like the founding structure of the way that the sort of globalist world operates right now. And Epistle of James. I think that's what he was talking about, the Epistle of James. So thank you, Rigovich. Anyways, Tucker has been bringing this point up, and he has been questioning Winston Churchill. And let me see if I can find something, because I think Jeremy Boring and James Lindsay, that sort of like chubby pseudo-intellectual that has those martial arts videos. James Lindsay, I'll just admit, I'm not a fan of James Lindsay. You guys know that. Have been calling Tucker one of these woke right neo-Nazis because of the questioning of Winston Churchill. So this is just a quick little segment here of Tucker's back and forth with Piers Morgan. And really, he kind of humiliated Piers Morgan. And the way that the interview starts, so it's a two-parter. The first hour is on the Piers Morgan YouTube channel, and then the second hour is on the Tucker Carlson, and they kind of interview each other. And Tucker lays into Pierce right at the beginning and asks him, how can you say Zelensky is like this noble symbol of virtue and a wonderful world leader? And then he's like, oh, well, Pierce goes on about why he likes Zelensky. And then Tucker asks him, well, define to me what a dictator is, because he keeps going on about how Putin's a dictator. And he says, well, first thing, a dictator isn't elected democratically. This is Piers Morgan. And Tucker responds, well, Zelensky has banned elections in Ukraine. Well, and then a dictator would persecute minorities. Well, that Zelensky has banned the actual Orthodox Church in Ukraine, right? And he's persecuting clergy members. Well. And basically goes on and just humiliates Piers Morgan by showing that even according to Piers Morgan's own definitions, Zelensky is in fact a dictator. So, but anyways, he won't budge on it. He won't budge on it. And this is just a clip. So when you hear right at the beginning, you're going to hear Tucker refer back to like Zelensky as a paragon of virtue. But this is him talking about like, really, we won World War II because it doesn't look like so in Britain. So here's this.
You're avoiding asking, meaning brilliant.
You're avoiding answering my question,
which is why do we have so many guns?
No,
we're free.
No, didn't ask.
We're free. No one can tell us we can't defend ourselves.
We all used to have guns too. No,
and then you guys, after the Second World War, which was like a liberation war, and you won, you lost all your freedom, and now you can't even express your political opinions, so they put you in jail. So, like, how did you win? How did you win? Is that what victory looks like? You lose all your rights. Your economy gets destroyed.
You know why we won?
Bankers?
We
and all
won.
of a sudden, oh, I won.
We won because I'm not conducting this interview in German, which I would have been.
Linguistics.
So,
and and Pierce says this. That's the best he can come up. Well, I'm not producing this interview in German. So it's just language. It's just so the whole differentiation is that you're not speaking German right now.
I'd rather not speak German and be goose stepping around my yard in England. Yeah, yeah.
But you are goose stepping. People are arrested for praying.
We literally won our freedom from people.
Your freedom? Where's your freedom? You can get
I'm as free as you could possibly want a human being to be.
You can't defend yourself. You can't control who comes into your country, and you can't criticize government policies, or you get arrested. So how are you free? You're a slave, aren't you?
No.
How free are you?
We have cultural problems in our country and societal
problems. Could you go on Facebook right now and say, I don't want any more immigrants in my country, they're making it worse?
You could say that. What you couldn't say, because a lot of these stories, I have to say, in America have been spun completely disingenuously. There's one case, for example, I see everyone trying to send me as an example of Britain's gone mad. Elon Musk has done it. There's a guy who got 7 years in prison. Actually, what he was doing, this guy, was he was orchestrating and directing rioting on hotels containing asylum seekers because he had a incorrect belief that someone who had stabbed 3 young girls to death
anyways, in fact, and here's the interesting thing. Of course, Pierce Morgan down here with oh my gosh, what's her name? The girlfriend of Epstein. Oh, I'm having a brain fart. You guys tell me in the chat. Oh my gosh, who is this chick? I'm having a total brain fart right now on her. Her dad was Mossad. Yeah, Ghislaine Maxwell. Thank you, nobody. Gosh, dang, my brain is like dead right now. Total brain fart. Yeah, Ghislaine Jizz Maxwell. Oh, you guys are hilarious. Yeah, exactly. Ghislaine Maxwell. So it looks like Pierce moves in those. Jay says the Gospel of James. I think we refer to it as the Epistle of James. So the Gospels we limit to Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John, and then the rest, at least in English, Jay, we refer to those as the epistles, right after Hebrews, to be more clear in the Bible. Yeah, no, the Epistle of James is fantastic. So I totally agree with you, and thank you very much, Jay, for all your support for my channel and my work. Greatly appreciate it, and God bless you and your family. Hope you're doing well, brother. Father Deacon Estinos throws in 5. It says, God bless you and your work. Well, thank you very much, Father Deacon. God bless you. Truly appreciate that support. And All Is Vanity throws in 50. Wow, thank you so much. Very generous. It says, can we look into Trump's pedigree to see if there are any links to the tribe of Dan? Perhaps we can take a closer look into blockchain operating the social credit system, digital ID, and the fact that Bitcoin is a blockchain currency. God bless. Well, All Is Vanity, I actually have thoughts on that. And I was going to wait till we got to the Israel section, but now that you bring it up, I guess we'll just go ahead and get into it. I do have some thoughts on that. Now, according to Trump, he is Scottish and he does not have any of that pedigree, as you mentioned. However, one of the interesting things, and I was thinking about doing a stream on this topic, is Israel, and I believe it was Netanyahu, but I know Israel in general, during the first Trump presidency, issued a coin in which Trump's face was superimposed on Cyrus the Great. Now, if you remember, Cyrus the Great built the Second Temple, sends the Jews back to their homeland. And this idea is that Trump was one of the great supporters of the Jewish people. Now, I thought about doing a stream comparing Cyrus the Great and Trump, because from somebody I was speaking with in the think tank last night, they mentioned that there's supposed to be a new coin that's going to be developed with Trump on it. And this is specifically a temple coin for Jews. So very interesting there. And I'm going to bring up more regarding all this stuff when we look at Trump's Gaza plan, or whether it's legitimate or not. And I'm going to get your guys' thoughts on whether this was 5D chess or this is just pure on Zionism. But regarding the blockchain, this was something that we actually spent like 30, 40 minutes on last night in our think tank talking about, because with all this USAID fiasco, USAID was sending millions of dollars to like Venezuela for drag operas, atheism in Nepal, homosexuality, this and that, every degenerate thing you could think of, they were sending millions of dollars towards, including funding Politico, sending it was like $1 million a year to sort of supplement their subscription program. And the US government was like getting subscriptions to Politico, which are like $10 a month for like $3,000 a piece. That doesn't make much sense. And there was millions of dollars that USAID was sending to the BBC. So why would the US government be funding the literal state media apparatus of Britain? Makes zero sense. But anyways, we were talking about a useful way of the blockchain, and if the blockchain actually documented all the transactions of the federal government. And so all the online autists could literally go to the blockchain, and we could monitor what the US government is doing and what it's sending its money towards. Now, I think that is an effective way to utilize the blockchain. In regards to your comments about the social credit system and the digital ID, we also talked about this. And my thoughts on that is, Trump has already been outspoken that there will be no CBDC, no central bank digital currency in the United States. The Federal Reserve planned on rolling one out, I believe, in 2025 and 2026. This was made public a couple years ago in my state of Indiana, I believe, with what was it? I think Florida, Texas, Indiana, and a handful of other states banned digital currencies or central bank digital currency. So any CBDCs, they don't ban Bitcoin or crypto. But I could see this not going into place or effect during Trump's presidency. But with J.D. Vance, you guys know that J.D. Vance his mentor was Peter Thiel, Palantir, part of the PayPal mafia, all that different stuff, and very much neck deep in the whole tech oligarchy. I could see, because really what it sounds like the general plan is right now is Trump is going to finish out these 4 years. There's going to be radical transformation in the United States, and that J.D. Vance is going to be set up to win the presidency. And when we look at the political spectrum right now in the United States with the left, one of the things that is so astounding right now is that the left has absolutely no power, no momentum. I mean, we have Chuck Schumer out in front of the Capitol building crying about USAID. Meanwhile, what's trending on Twitter is all these leftists saying, "Oh my God, I had no idea. I'm done with the Democratic Party." This was a huge thing on X the last couple of days, and TikTok, or people, young people mostly, but people saying, "I voted Democrat," or I vote for all these candidates, and I can't believe what they're doing, all this corruption. I'm done with them. So as the cultural momentum is totally disregarding and rejecting Democratic policies or the Democratic Party in general, we have Chuck Schumer literally crying about all this aid. And then we still see them doubling down on the LGBTQ, all the critical theory, all the sexual degeneracy, all that stuff. And it's like they haven't got the memo. And so is the Democrats going to be able to do something during the midterms? I mean, right now, right now, the way it stands, it looks like the Republicans are going to gain a further majority in the Senate and the Congress, based on the general trends that are happening. That would give Trump more power to actually pass real legislation. Because right now he's passing all these executive orders, which say a Democrat got in after Trump, well, they could just overturn with their own executive orders. We got to establish some of this stuff through actual legislation, like the repealing of the income tax. That would be huge for Americans, and property tax. We need to do away with property tax and income tax. And this is where I think there's a real positive case made for tariffs. But anyways, if things continue the way they're going, you could easily see J.D. Vance winning in what would be 2028. And if that's the case, I could certainly see him and his sort of tech background utilizing digital currencies, digital IDs as effective for conservative policy making. So they will talk about, hey, we don't need illegal immigrants in the country. Everybody has to have a digital ID. This will be able to track people, make sure we don't have illegals, can't hire illegals, have to have a digital ID. All these different things that the right is in favor of, they will utilize this sort of digital ID, digital currency system to justify the implementation of it for conservative purposes. I could see that happening. Now, that's a total speculation, but I'll just throw that out there as my own opinion. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the chat. John Kell throws in 20, says, just some support, DPH. God bless. Thank you so much, John Kell. God bless you, brother. And K. Dot renews his membership, says, you've been doing a great job, DPH. I'm now officially Orthodox. Glory to God, brother. Welcome home. Baptized and chrismation in January. That's wonderful, K. Dot. Welcome home, brother. Welcome to the arena. And so that's wonderful news. Thank you so much for the support, my man. So anyways, let's get into, and well, what I wanted to show is, let me pull up here. Let me put in Tucker Carlson, Winston. Oh, I spelt it wrong. I always do that. Let's see. Here it is.
Very distressed about it. So people want to tell me Churchill's an incredible guy. Really? So I'm very distressed about it. So people want to tell me Churchill's an incredible guy. Really? Well, why didn't he save Western civilization? He didn't even save Poland.
He did.
What did he?
He did save Western
How?
civilization.
How?
He defeated the Nazis.
But I know he helped defeat the Nazis,
Well, the Nazis
with his friend
wanted
Stalin.
The Nazis wanted the whole world to be speaking
I'm not
German.
defending the Nazis. I'm just saying, where is Western civilization? What did he do? What did he preserve? Where is it? I don't know where it is.
Churchill died the year before I was born. Oh, the same year, actually.
He died in 63, I
60,
think.
65.
65.
I think about a month before I was born. It was a natural succession. But the
but the question is, like, where's the victory? I don't understand. Like, everyone wants to yell at you for not loving Churchill. Okay,
well, hang on,
show me the victory.
Well, yeah, but
No, it's a theoretical victory.
He makes a great point about this whole thing of the powers that won World War II. I mean, we literally live in a self-destructive state, and Tucker makes the explicit point when eventually Piers Morgan asked him, well, what is Western civilization? He says it's Christianity. It's explicitly Christianity. And, you know, Piers Morgan has been very outspoken about how he's not, Britain has a problem with massive immigration, but we certainly don't have a problem with the type of migrants who are coming because they contribute to the British ethos of multiculturalism. And meanwhile, London, we'll be talking about this tomorrow, is the highest knife crime in the world. They have the most amount of mosques of anywhere in Europe. And they're literally, the Muslims are literally wearing these Anglican churches as sheepskin. And it's pretty distressing. So it's funny to see Tucker press Pierce because he really can't defend much of Churchill and Western civilization post World War II. But this whole Churchill thing spawned serious outrage. So you can see this now, and the memes just don't stick. So questioning the World War II narrative and questioning the role of Winston Churchill and his alliance with Stalin, who I thought we're supposed to hate communism. I thought we're supposed to hate fascism. And this was Tucker's whole spiel, is that if we don't like communism and we don't like fascism, why did we help prop up Stalin's regime of communism, which killed way more people than the Nazis did? And Pierce has no response to this. And this is what's edgy. This is what is interesting for young people. And then you see the normies try to appropriate the NPC narrative of Winston Churchill is bad. No, those are actually people that are critical thinkers. The NPC is the one that's still defending the neoliberal world order that is essentially with what Trump's doing. It feels like it's a movement back towards nationalism and a sort of breaking down of, I assume with the tariffs coming with the EU and some of the rhetoric coming out of Germany with AFD, the Reform Party in UK, that a lot of these European nations, and like Italy in specific, they want to do trade deals specifically with the United States. They don't want to have to go through the mediator of the EU. And that would make Europe way stronger. And we could choose which European countries we want to align with. But anyways, so I just wanted to show you guys a little bit of that. Let's get to the next topic here. So here we go. Now we're going to be starting in on the whole Israel Zionism thing in Trump's administration. So I'm going to send up another poll here in just a few minutes to ask you guys what you think of this Trump Gaza thing. But this was just a few days ago. The Trump administration's asked Congress to approve the transfer of $1 billion in bombs and military equipment to Israel, which, from my understanding, at least a couple days ago, I'm not sure if there's so much news, so many things going on. I'm not sure where it stands now, but at least according to a couple days ago, Democrats and a handful of Republicans actually vetoed this or voted no against it. And so it did not pass Congress yet, but the expectation of that is going to. And so we see that the U.S. is now aiding and abetting the genocide of Palestinians. Another interesting thing that came out is that Kanye West was wanting to attend the inauguration, but apparently Donald Trump told him that he has to apologize for his anti-Semitism. And so this is like the headline from TMZ. Kanye West, Trump team wanted another apology, so I skipped inauguration. Kanye West says he planned to attend Donald Trump's inauguration until he was asked to write a second apology for his past anti-Semitic comments. And I respect him for, standing his ground to some degree, but can we all agree that Kanye West is no longer Christian? Like, I'm a little bit annoyed by some of the groypers who are still celebrating Kanye West for, speaking out against the Jews and Netanyahu. Meanwhile, he's taking his wife, was it Bianca Censori, to the Grammys in literally a see-through dress, totally nude, not even wearing underwear, like just totally butt-ass naked. And he's still supposed to be some type of Christian? What are you talking about? Like, Kanye West, he's always been a little incomprehensible, but there's no way in hell you can still in 2025 consider Kanye West Christian with the stuff that and some of his rap songs, some of his songs recently have had very sort of Luciferian type rhetoric in it. So anyways, I only bring this point up not to celebrate Kanye West, but to highlight Trump's sort of Zionist Jewish alliance. And then this relates then to this right here. The Department of Justice just made Office of Public Affairs. Justice Department announces formation of task force to combat anti-Semitism. And one woman has already been deported. So there was I think she was Chinese, which, okay, I'm okay with sending back some of these Chinese nationals. And in general, I'm supportive of much of the deportation plan. But the whole rhetoric around this is that, like, Harvard amended their hate speech policies and basically made it explicit that you can no longer criticize like Zionism on the campus of Harvard. And they take very seriously now anti-Semitism and what is anti-Semitic has been expanded, and the expectations that many universities are going to begin to adopt these hate speech policies regarding Jews. And this has to do with these far left Palestinian protests. Now, I'm an Orthodox Christian. I have an allegiance to the 10% of the Orthodox Christians that are Palestinians. My heart goes out to them. And I'm very open about criticizing Israel and the things that they're doing. And this is where I worry with the Trump administration is I could see us repealing the income tax, potentially repealing property tax, getting back to sanity regarding gender norms and sexuality in American culture. Meanwhile, I absolutely could see this anti-Semitic task force or this task force combating anti-Semitism begin to curtail the free speech of Americans themselves. And this is a sort of spiritual give and take here. I think that's happening, is that what we're seeing with the Trump administration is that domestically things are going to absolutely improve. And there's many things to celebrate. when it comes to Zionism, it seems like that's only going to intensify. And if you are familiar with Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, I mean, he is very outspoken of his Zionism. Now, he is very much a Christian, but he is a dispensationalist Christian. And he has been open about wanting to build the third temple, which from an Orthodox perspective, what our saints and elders have told us is that the Jewish Messiah is our Antichrist. And anybody who's aiding and abetting the building of the third temple is aiding and abetting the coming of the Antichrist beast Babylonian system. And that's interesting. That's scary. That is, again, so you look at, I don't know if I have one of them pulled up, but the U.S. Army just experienced a dramatic increase in people committing to the military. It was like 36,000 people in the month of January, which Trump was only inaugurated on January 20th. So that means within a week and a half, thousands of people joined the U.S. military, and they're saying that they're seeing one of the highest enrollment rates that they've seen in the last decade, and this is only the second month. So I definitely believe that he's going to rebuild the military. I think he's going, we're going to have much more soldiers. But what I'm afraid of as an Orthodox Christian is that let's use the metaphor of America as a for lack of a better term, as a type of vehicle or a horse or a tank of some sort. So the tank has been destroyed. It's decrepit. It's falling apart. It's getting ready to collapse. The next 4 years, I can see the tank of America being restored. But what is that tank? What is that engine going to be geared toward? And I think that the head of it is going to be Israel, and that part of what's happening is this reprieve for domestic policy is that Israel is going to have sole power and going to use the engine of the United States to fund and fuel the expansion of greater Israel, which is part of our prophecies and part of us moving in towards the end times. And so it's ironic that we're going to see a reprieve domestically. Meanwhile, in other aspects, we're accelerating the coming of the end times themselves. We're accelerating the movement towards the Antichrist kingdom. So kind of scary stuff. And I could see, because of Orthodox Christianity's outspokenness regarding the role of the Jewish Messiah in our own eschatology, that this could be used to deem Orthodox Christianity in America as anti-Semitic or harmful, and that dispensational Christianity is going to become like the official religion of America. And this is going to be tied with his Christian executive order he signed today. It's that, wait till I show you the pastor that he puts in charge of this Christian task force. It's kind of mind numbing. So I don't know. It feels like all of what's happening is the rebuilding of America for the purpose of Israel. That's kind of what I'm getting at here. And I think this is really a sort of acceleration towards something nefarious. So the next thing I want to show you is this is Trump. And you can see here, I found somebody who thinks that who believes in this sort of 5D chess narrative. Okay. Trump says that the U.S. is going to take over Gaza, that we're going to be responsible for exploding all the underground bombs that are present, demolishing what's left in Palestine, and basically rebuilding what he calls a Riviera 2.0 in the Middle East. Is this America first? Surely doesn't seem like it. And my initial response when I heard this is that, okay, so Trump's Zionism is that he's going to use U.S. taxpayer money to rebuild Gaza. And I'm sure that if he was in charge of it, he would make it very beautiful. Let's say he turns Gaza into a beautiful Riviera, as he describes. Well, who do you think is going to have control of that after a few years? It's going to be given over to Israel. And so it's like that. My initial response was Trump's going to build up Gaza, ethnically cleanse the Palestinians. He said that essentially send the Palestinians to Jordan or Egypt, which both countries reject. Saudi Arabia has rejected taking in Palestinians. And so no Muslim country has reached out and said, yes, the Palestinians can come here. Meanwhile, Israel has made it public statements that Spain and Ireland are going to be responsible for taking in Palestinians. Why? I don't get it. I do get it, but this animosity of these globalists towards Ireland. I mean, Ireland's one of the few European countries that actually been fighting back against the migrant crisis, burning down all these facilities to house migrants. And then you know that the Israeli embassy shut down in Ireland because of the criticisms of the genocide against Palestinians. And so it's so obvious. So then Israel says, you know, in response, we're just going to send you more massive amounts of Muslims and remake your country. And obviously there's a historical relationship with Spain. If you're not familiar, check out the Gates of Toledo, things like that. So why would they choose Ireland? Why would they choose Spain? Could be some historical animosity. I'll just throw that out there. But this narrative is growing also that this potentially could be an oversell. So, and I'm going to play a video. So I'm getting ready to show you Trump stating this for the first time. And then I'm going to play a video of Netanyahu's face, because he does appear to be surprised by Trump saying that the U.S. is going to take over Gaza. And if he is surprised, and Trump never mentioned this to Netanyahu before he publicly stated it, is this some sort of power play? Is this something to get Israel to the negotiating table, because maybe they don't want the U.S. to take over Gaza, because maybe their fear is America will expand and take over Israel? I don't know. I mean, is there really a difference right now between Israel and America? Anyways, I digress. So this narrative that Trump's playing 5D chess, and I will say one of the interesting things is that Netanyahu is the first foreign leader to come to the White House during the second Trump presidency. Now, Trump posted a video on Truth Social right before the inauguration of Jeffrey Sachs, who is a Jewish geopolitical analyst. He was the ambassador to the Soviet Union during the collapse in '92. And he's been very outspoken against Israel and their war crimes. But Jeffrey Sachs is also kind of a globalist. I mean, he's basically a globalist, but he's in favor of like harmony and peace and sort of national prosperity, but all inside of a sort of a global world order. So I don't fully trust Jeffrey Sachs myself, but in the video, Jeffrey Sachs is commenting how essentially Israel gets America to do the bidding for their wars, for their battles, and essentially utilizes U.S. taxpayer money to fund their endeavors, and they get all the U.S. presidents to follow along. Trump posted that on Truth Social, which makes you think, oh my God, this is one of the first times we actually have a U.S. president that's critical of Israel. Well, then he turns around and does this, and it's like, how do you reconcile these things? This has led people to speculate that really he's doing this sort of 5D chess maneuver regarding Israel. I'm going to post a poll, and I'm going to get your guys' opinion here in just a second. But let's see the final results of the last poll. We have 271 votes. Helicopter crash in Virginia. Was it an accident, incompetence, or intentional? Looks like incompetence wins with 52%, intentional with 35%, and then accident with 13%. So interesting results there. I'm going to close that poll, and I'm going to get now into this video and this discussion. I'm going to open up to you guys what you guys feel about Gaza. Is this a 5D maneuver? I'm going to read this little thing here. I found somebody who believes in this sort of 5D chess and get your guys' thoughts. So here is Trump for the first time saying the U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip. And so you can see Netanyahu right here, and I'm going to play a second video specifically focused on him, and you can see that he's surprised by Trump saying this. Oh, let me turn my speaker back on.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years. The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip.
Okay, so let's hear this guy's opinion here. He says, all right, here's my take on Trump's announcement about the Gaza Strip, because overwhelmingly Trump's base thought this was a terrible idea. Despite some of the conservative Zionist members of the MAGA movement, the vast majority, I'd say at least 80%, it felt like on X, at least 80% were deeply troubled by Trump making this announcement. This is what this guy says. Trump points out how the last 100 years have been nothing but violence, and rather than continue the vicious cycle, Trump is exploring a more permanent plan for peace. The deep state thrive on instability and war. They like Israel and Palestine being in an endless state of conflict. I'm not sure why the deep state would be in favor of that. I think the deep state would probably be in favor of ethnic cleansing and the Greater Israel Project. But okay, let's continue. So they can justify endless foreign aid and weapons, humanitarian aid, etc., which they launder. By finding a permanent solution for peace and bringing lasting stability to the region, the deep state are unable to operate. Trump also highlights how the main goal is to ultimately stop the killing. Perhaps the best thing for the people of Israel, Palestine, and the world is for these two nations to have some distance from each other, because clearly they cannot coexist peacefully. That is not to say I think Israel or Hamas are the good guys. I side with the innocent people on all sides and simply wish for the slaughter to end. I think Israel is a corrupt and oppressive to the Palestinians, yet Hamas committed heinous acts of terror, which Israel knew about. And that's one of the things that's frustrating. Trump never recognizes that Netanyahu and the IFD knew about the attack 3 days before it happened and let it occur so that they could then, again, ethnically cleanse, in my opinion. The only good guys in my eyes are the civilians who just want to live in peace. However, I'm not overly fond of the idea of forcing the Palestinian people away from their homeland. No, of course not. That's called ethnically cleansing an area. But I also do not have a better solution. The Palestinian people are being exterminated. True. Gaza is already a pile of rubble. True. And the Palestinians are essentially prisoners of an apartheid state. True. Something has to change. I'd argue moving the Israeli people might be the better idea, but I don't make the decisions. Also, this very well could be Trump negotiation tactics to get the Islamic nations in the region to be more willing to come to the table, similar to how Trump used tariffs as a negotiation tool. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. Perhaps there's a lot we do not know. In conclusion, I think Trump has proven to us he has a vision, a plan, and he has good intentions, and he has set on destroying the deep state. Well, who is the deep state, my man? I mean, the man is literally purging the FBI, CIA, USAID, and the Department of Education as we speak. And I do agree with that. In regards to the purging of the FBI, and I have a thing here today. As of today, 60,000 federal employees have taken the offer that Trump gave them for an 8-month severance package to basically resign from their position. It was just 20,000 a few days ago. It up to 40,000 yesterday. And then according to today, 60,000 federal workers have taken their severance package, which I think is fantastic. The less federal workers, the better. But anyways, the next thing I want to show is here is Netanyahu. And I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. Does Netanyahu look surprised to you? Now, this guy says he doesn't know what to do because he just got played. Now, maybe that's true. Maybe that's not. But what is your guys' thoughts on Netanyahu's response to Trump making that announcement? So this is the exact same clip we just watched.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years. I'm hopeful that this ceasefire could be the beginning of a larger and more enduring peace that will end the bloodshed and killing once and for all. With the same goal in mind, my administration has been moving quickly to restore trust in the alliance and rebuild American strength throughout the region. And we've really done that. We're a respected nation. The U.S.
So, I could see Netanyahu being aware of it. I mean, to me, this video clip doesn't totally insinuate that he was totally caught off guard and was surprised by the whole thing. But that's certainly been the narrative as of late. And let's see. And then it came out today that reportedly Jared Kushner, the son-in-law of Donald Trump, is reportedly behind Trump's proposal to occupy and develop Gaza. Now, that makes total sense because, you know, Ivanka, Trump's daughter, is married to Jared Kushner, and she converted to Judaism. Trump also has the replica of the Ark of the Covenant in his Mar-a-Lago mansion. And this is where, who was it that sent in the $50 super chat? All is vanity. He makes an interesting point because with this Israel viewing Trump as a sort of Cyrus the Great, in his fascination with sort of Jewish history, and there was recent, people in the Trump administration coming out and saying that there's no question if you read the Bible that Jews have a unique relationship to the land of Israel. And it's like, how can Christian people, do they not understand that the church is Israel? I mean, I didn't realize that this was such a profound idea, but it makes sense. Jared Kushner is comes from a very elite family in Israel, and they are very much interested in the building of the third temple. So very interesting. Now, this was a clip that I thought, I'll just play a little bit. This is Abby Martin, former host of a news show on RT, Russia Today. And she's kind of a leftist, but this was an interview she did years ago with Joe Rogan, talking about the conflict between Palestine and Israel.
When you look at Israeli society, it started off as kind of a socialist project with the kibbutzes, and now it's just turned into a fascist, supremacist state where Netanyahu
True.
reflects the true face of Israel, just like Trump reflects the true face of this country. And when it's getting too toxic for even Natalie Portman to be this ambassador to Israel, that the tide is turning. But unfortunately, there's so much shit going on. Congress hasn't said anything. They just totally support this, man. And there's weird BDS legislation trying to criminalize basically dissent, where you have contractors in Texas having to sign clauses, promise that they won't support boycott of Israel in order to rebuild hurricane homes.
What is BDS?
Boycott, divestment, sanctions. It's the movement that Palestinians have asked us to help them to, boycott. And that's what Stephen Hawking was all about. He boycotted scientific conferences in Tel Aviv. So this is what we got to do. And we have to fight our government to stop endorsing these massacres and atrocities.
Well, obviously,
when you look at Israeli society.
So very apropos point. And this guy down here highlighted which states have BDS laws, anti-BDS laws. Unfortunately, I just said how happy I was with my state of Indiana banning CBDCs. They also have anti-BDS laws, as do most conservative states. So Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Connecticut, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Nevada, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Texas, and Wisconsin all have anti-BDS laws. You are not allowed as a free American citizen to boycott Israel. Interesting. So this I thought was very interesting as well. This is a video of Netanyahu having this weird smirk on his face while Trump is talking about 1 million children trapped in carnage and talking about all the atrocities that are happening in Palestine. And watch this man's face. He literally smiles about it. It appears he thinks it's funny.
Why would they want to return? The place has been hell. It's been one of the meanest, toughest places on earth. And right now, I've seen every picture from every angle, better than if I were there. And nobody can live there. You can't live there. So if we can build, why would they want to return?
I don't. There may have been something else going on there. I don't know. I'll leave it up to you guys. But I'm going to post a poll now. Again, we're going to do Trump, Gaza. And we'll do 5D chess, pure Zionism, And we'll add, what would be the other one? A negotiating tactic. What do you guys think? I hope it's 5D chess or a negotiating tactic, but my heart tells me that this is pure Zionism and that Trump is deeply, and he may have a personal vendetta against Netanyahu. As I said before, Trump is notorious for having animosity towards anybody who has done him wrong, and he never forgets. And Netanyahu was the first person to congratulate Joe Biden on winning the 2020 election, which Trump obviously, and it was rigged. I mean, I think we can now say that. I think YouTube doesn't ban your channel by questioning the 2020 election. I'm not sure, so hopefully not. But I'm pretty sure you can talk about it now. Well, Bibi Netanyahu was the first person to see Biden in the White House, first person to see Trump in the White House. And he was the first person to congratulate Joe Biden on his victory, which apparently, according to some people close to Trump, incredibly irritated him. He was irate about it because he thought he had this strong personal friendship and relationship with Netanyahu. And so does Trump just have a vendetta against Netanyahu, or, you know, and maybe he's still a pure Zionist and he just has a personal vendetta, or, you know, maybe this is all part of a larger Zionist plan here. So looking at the chat so far, we got 94 votes. So guys, vote over here on YouTube regarding the Trump-Gaza situation. We got 14% say 5D chess, 64% say it's pure Zionism, and 23% say it's a negotiating tactic. So we'll let those votes accumulate and see what you guys come up with. But here is Rand Paul, Senator Rand Paul, one of the more principled people in the Senate, and he voted on something recently that I was upset with. I forget what it was. He was I forget what it was exactly, but he's very principled. You know, he's not Ron Paul, but certainly one of the best senators we have. And he said, I thought we voted for America first regarding Trump's intervention plan in Gaza. We have no business contemplating yet another occupation to doom our treasure and spill our soldiers' blood. Absolutely facts. Absolute facts. So thank you for that, Rand Paul. And then this, I got to show. I thought this was just funny. So people were then mocking Donald Trump because when they went to go do, after the public press conferences, they went to go have a private conversation, and there was a photo. Well, it's a small video. It's like 3 seconds of Trump pushing in the seat of Netanyahu. Now, again, is this a power move? Does Netanyahu know that Trump actually has like animosity towards him, or they're not on total solid ground, and that part of this is public show, and that this is some type of alpha move to like push his chair in and extend a sort of, you know, a collegial behavior towards him during these press conferences? I'm not sure. Is Trump just being well-mannered, or is he kind of a puppet of Israel? So this was a meme that was being shared. I thought it was funny.
Everybody knows who's in charge. Me. Right? Yes, you. Of course. Of course. Everybody.
Now, that is also in line with the fact that you cannot find anybody in American politics besides literally just a handful of people who haven't gone to the Wailing Wall, worn the yarmulke, and basically took one of these photos of themselves. And so here is both President Trump and J.D. Vance at the Wailing Wall. And here you see Barack Obama, Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, George Bush, all doing the same photo op, wearing their yarmulke, going to the Wailing Wall. And this was another meme that I thought was very funny. Is we, the people, voted for America first. And so candidate Trump is like a Templar soldier with an American flag, and then it's a cartoon Trump with an Israeli flag. So pretty apropos there. And this is, you know, not related to anything. I thought it was just interesting, just willing to share. So Julius Malema, from my understanding, is a sort of radical Marxist type political leader in South Africa. He's called on the genocide of the Boers, the white citizens in South Africa. And so he's totally okay. And to credit Trump, he signed an executive order taking, limiting all U.S. aid to South Africa until they stop persecuting the Boers, which is great. But it's funny how he's okay to genocide white citizens, but then he says anti-Semitism is hatred, prejudice, or hostility towards Jews. Some of our biggest financial donors are Jewish, and we love them. And so, there's a long historical relationship between Judaism and communism, and I'll let you guys figure that out. Maybe Europa might be a good source to look a little bit into that, but I won't say more. Very interesting, right? Very, very interesting that the sort of Marxist leader of South Africa that wants the genocide whites says, whoa, Jews are off limits, guys. They're our biggest financial donors. Yeah. A Jew backing a communist party. What are the odds? That's Trotsky, if you guys aren't aware. So little interesting something there. And then in addition to all this stuff that's going on, this made the rounds of Tom Brady, the GOAT of the NFL, seven-time Super Bowl champion, considered the greatest NFL player of all time. Recently did paired up with Snoop Dogg to star in a commercial tackling anti-Semitism. And I'm going to play this for you.
I hate you because we're from different neighborhoods.
I hate you because you look different.
I hate you because I don't understand you.
I hate you because people I know hate you.
I hate you because I think you hate me.
Because I need someone to blame.
Because you talk different.
Because you act different.
Because you're just different. Man, I hate that things are so bad that we have to do a commercial about it.
Me too.
And so this ad, which is supposedly going to air during the Super Bowl, comes from a organization called standuptoallhate.org, and it was paid for by the Foundation to Combat Anti-Semitism. Now, people have dove into this, and they found that Robert Kraft, the Jewish owner of the New England Patriots, actually paid for this article and this commercial, and that's why Tom Brady's actually in it. So, interesting. With everything going on, there seems to be a priority in America to combat anti-Semitism and any criticism of Israel. So, very, very strange. Yeah, I love this. You're anti-Semitic. I'm the one that's Semitic. You're from Poland. And Netanyahu, if you didn't know, his family is from Poland. And then he actually grew up in the United States. I would be skeptical if he had any Hebrew DNA. This is partly why DNA tests are banned in Israel, to my knowledge. In the book, The 13th Tribe by Arthur Kessler is also banned in Israel. And, I'm skeptical of some of the Ashkenazi stuff. When you look into some of the Khazar theories, it seems fairly probable. So anyways, moving forward here. Now, I laid out all that Trump, anti-Semitism, Gaza, Zionism type stuff to say this. Trump, and I'm going to play this whole thing. It's 58 seconds. Apparently has left instructions that to obliterate Iran, wipe them totally off the map if he were assassinated. Now, do we really think that Thomas Crooks, the Trump attempted assassination in Butler, Pennsylvania, he had like 4 encrypted international accounts? Again, strange how a young man like that has all those accounts. Seems to be like there's connections back with some of the intelligence agencies that has been covered up. Maybe more will come out about that. I'm not sure. But the immediate rhetoric afterwards was that it was Iran. It was Iran that was trying to kill President for Soleimani. And then we had Ryan Luth, the other weirdo that tried the second assassination attempt. And then it came out, it was Iran. It was Iran. And Iran has denied these allegations, saying, we have not attempted to assassinate Donald Trump. But this rhetoric has built up, and it seems like Donald Trump has bought into it. I'm not sure. Again, this is where I think that in many ways he may be too insulated by his circle. That Trump, it's not Iran that was trying to kill you. And anyways, he's left instructions to obliterate Iran off the map. And if you were Israel and you did want to have a war with Iran and you wanted America to do it for you because of their weaponry, their military, and the financial expense that it's going to cost, wouldn't this just set up an opportunity for Trump to be assassinated by Israel? I mean, if you were Netanyahu and you found out that Trump has established this order that if he's assassinated, they're going to wipe Iran off the map, wouldn't that incentivize Israel to want to kill Donald Trump so that then America would finally complete the domino? So when 9/11 happened, there was like 7 nations that Israel wanted to be overthrown. 6 of the 7 America's intervened with and then overthrown. Iran's the last one standing. Now they suspected when 9/11 happened, this was all going to be done within a 4-year period. Clearly things didn't go according to plan. But if you were Israel, don't you have a bigger incentive now to actually assassinate Trump one way or another, or even try to frame Iran? Let's say there's a presidential convoy to the Middle East and Trump's go there and all of a sudden his plane gets shot down or something mysterious happens. Yeah. Caravaggio said, yeah. And well, Netanyahu gifted Trump a golden pager. I did see that. So if you guys don't understand the sort of joke behind that is, Hezbollah in Lebanon, apparently Israel worked with some type of manufacturer. I believe it was out of Singapore, of pagers, and thousands of pagers were sold, or somehow various potential people belonging to Hezbollah had these pagers and they blew up one day. I mean, killing enormous amounts of people and wounding civilians. I mean, there's videos of people in their kitchen having the pager on their waist. They blow up and they like take off an arm of their daughter and their wife who are sitting at the kitchen table together. Israel thought this was hilarious and fantastic, right? And so Netanyahu then gifted Trump a golden pager, which is like one of the most satanic trolls of all time. Right. I mean, it was not humane what they did. It was not, it's nothing to be celebrated about. And all of the Zionists online, thought this was hilarious and making jokes about pagers and Hezbollah and all this different stuff. But for Netanyahu then to gift him a golden pager, yeah, I would be cautious. I'd be interested to know what's inside that pager. And it's also disgusting. It's I don't know if he's trying to troll Hezbollah, but it's disgusting, man. You're literally like trying to make a joke out of the fact that you killed thousands of people through explosive pagers. I mean, this is ridiculous. So anyways, I'm going to play this video. This is Trump talking about his plans.
Why is Iran having to sign it if it's Iran and their proxies who threaten to retaliate against you and your team by killing you guys for taking out Soleimani?
Well, they haven't done that. And that would be a terrible thing for them to do, not because of me. If they did that, they would be obliterated. That would be the end. I've left instructions. If they do it, they get obliterated. There won't be anything left. And they shouldn't be able to do it. And Biden should have said that, but he never did. I don't know why, lack of intelligence, perhaps. But he never said it. If that happens to a leader or close to a leader, frankly, if you had other people involved also, you would call for total obliteration of a state that did it. That would include Iran. So I'm signing this, and it's a very powerful document, but hopefully we're not going to have to use it.
Why is Iran?
So that was when he was writing or signing an executive order, essentially blocking Iran from having a nuclear program or attaining a nuclear weapon, which they've avowed to use against Israel. And so, as I've said before 1,000 times, guys, as any faithful Orthodox Christian needs to keep their eyes open for any instance in which Israel bombs the nuclear facilities of Iran. This has been told to us by multiple saints and elders that this is essentially the commencing of the Great World War, the last World War, World War III. And there are somebody actually sent, and I have to give somebody last stream mentioned that Israel had bombed the nuclear facilities. And the article that I found that they sent was from a few months ago. But I did find an article after I got offline the last time we did one of these news streams, that there was an article written like that day or the day before. A friend sent it to me who saw the stream, and it said that Israel has avowed to blow up the nuclear program or nuclear energy or nuclear facilities in Iran. And that was just that was like a day or two before the last time I did a news stream. So that was much more recent. So I think this is something we absolutely need to keep our eyes open for, and just be cautious of anything regarding the nuclear energy and nuclear facilities of Iran, because if they are blown up and it's done by Israel, it seems like we're there. We're now entering the beginning domino fall of the end times here. So, anyways, next thing that I have, let's see. Now, this is just random. It doesn't really pertain to anything. Just thought it was interesting to throw out there. And this is an interesting statistic coming from a U.S. government consensus in 1860. Along with a website known as the Jewish Virtual Library. Okay, so these are credible sources. And what it says is at the height of American slavery, 78% of slave owners were ethnic Jews. 40% of the Jewish population were slave owners, while only 0.35% of white Americans own slaves. Now, again, I'm just saying that this is according to the Jewish Virtual Library and U.S. government census of 1860. So a little bit of a different history, I think most people were told. And this comes into this was a quote tweeted because somebody posted white gold, 1.25 million European slaves erased from memory. And that's referring back to the Jewish slave trade, where they were using Europeans and selling them to Arabs, which is still common, not in the same sense of the slave trade back in the day. This is where we get the word slave refers back to a Slav, the Slavs, who Russia has a very contentious relationship with certain ethnic groups that are part of their history. Many pogroms and of that nature. And so there was a historical slave trade, which was all about getting Europeans to Arabs. And when you look at these princes in Saudi Arabia and some of these OPEC oil nations, it's still common for them to essentially buy Russian women as part of their harem. So this hasn't totally, at least maybe the contours of this trade has changed, but the practice and the general framing of getting wealthy Arab men to acquire European women as part of their harem is still in total effect. So that was that. Before we get into the next one, let me catch up on some super chats from you guys. K-Dot gifted a COTEL Crew membership. Thank you so much, K-Dot. Really appreciate that, my brother. And again, we got members exclusive content here on YouTube. So get a membership and you can get access to some of those exclusive videos. And I'll be uploading a new one this week, a part 2 that is only on my website. I'm going to put over there for members here on YouTube. So check that out. Eek renews his membership of 7 months. Thank you so much, Eek. He says they are going to usher in the technocracy while they have the overwhelming support of the population. I could see, certainly I don't trust Elon Musk, and I could see Musk pushing for something like that. And that's why I think this movement towards, ending corruption and making the government more efficient and essentially, renewing American energy and the engine of America itself and domestic prosperity is to do just that, to get lull the people into a complacency due to all the positives that are emerging, so that we can they can usher in a sort of digital control system. I totally see that happening, Eek. I would be, and maybe it happens during Trump, but as I said earlier, I could totally see it happening under J.D. Vance if he were to become president after Trump, which seems to be the sort of succession plan here, the succession plan. So Justin Henley throws in $2, says, I like those whites. They give me money. Yeah. That's basically the leader of South Africa. And Austin DeTulio throws in $5. No comment. Thank you so much, Austin. God bless you, brother. And let me check over on the Dono chat and see if anybody sent anything else in. Gary sends in a generous $100. Thank you so much, Gary. God bless you, brother. No comment. Gary, thank you very, very much, my man. And Jay Hamza throws in another 15. Thank you so much, Jay. He says, with all the threats from Iran, he could build an air base to obliterate Iran. They want him dead, Trump. So he made good on his promise. Plus, we're closer to bombing China in the outbreak of World War III. Well, you know, one of the things that I would agree with Colonel Douglas McGregor as of late is Russia and China are not the Russia and China of the 1990s. These countries have money, they have military equipment, and unlike America, I would say China is pretty well trained. You know, they don't have any DEI, they don't have any sort of, you know, progressive liberalism that they've had to out of their military. So I don't think it's just a clear, you know, given that the U.S. would annihilate Russia and China if there was a world war. I think that there is much more parity in the geopolitical sphere, military geopolitical sphere now than there has been in the recent past. So I don't know, but, you know, Jay feels that, if he wanted to, he could obliterate Iran. It's true. I mean, they could if they wanted to, and they say they want Trump dead. I certainly agree that Iran probably doesn't like Trump. I don't see why they would. I could see why they would want to kill him. But I really think that the animosity the U.S. has towards Iran is totally tied to Zionism and the military-industrial complex, of which Israel is sort of the head of. I mean, that's why we give them what they've acquired, what, $200 billion, you know, and with all this stuff and this Gaza rhetoric coming up, a lot of people are discussing the JFK assassination, because one of the things that's quite clear is that, you know, at least him personally, he was against AIPAC and thought that they should have to be labeled as a foreign entity, which they're not. It's basically the lobbying group on behalf of Israel. And he was explicit about Israel not having nuclear weapons, which they do. And was Israel behind the JFK assassination? I think there's interesting evidence to the conclusion that they were. But until the JFK files are totally released, you know, we don't know for certain. And I don't know if they have been yet. I know there's all this rhetoric. I even saw Dick Durbin, the Democrat, has come out and he's now in favor of releasing the Epstein client list or the flight logs and stuff. So hopefully that stuff does come out. Trump's made a promise he's going to. I assume he's been waiting for RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, and Kash Patel to get appointed to their positions before doing so. But I don't know. Interesting stuff nonetheless. But thank you so much, Jay, for the support. And you know, you may be right. I'm everything I say here is just my speculation and my personal opinion. I don't know anything more than you guys know. So do appreciate that, Jay. Thank you so much for the support, brother. And let me just see if anybody sent anything in over on Streamlabs. And BMX 1966 throws in $10. No comment. Thank you so much, BMX 1966. And Veronica throws in $3. She says, I announced my chrismation on your channel years ago and am now pleased to inform you that my husband is a catechumen. All glory to Christ. Well, glory to God, Veronica. That is fantastic. You know, I believe I know who you are, and I remember you talking about being brought into the church, but your husband was still reluctant to do so, even though you said he was a good man and a good husband. So the fact that he's joining the Orthodox Church, glory to God, and God bless your family. That is wonderful, wonderful news. And Alexandria, Orthodox Boomer Grandma, throws in 20 and says, I will be sending you a St. Brigid icon soon, unionofallicons.com. Well, thank you so much, Alexandria. I would love that. I'm sure Jenny would love that as well. And, you know, shameless plug, go check out Union of All Icons, get some icons from an Orthodox sister here in our community. Her and her husband are producing really high quality icons. I got a St. Patrick of Ireland and a Transfiguration icon. They're fantastic quality. So really appreciate everybody at Union of All Icons. They make really, really high quality stuff. So even though I say go to Orthodox Depot, do check out Unival icons. They are fantastic. All mine are from Uncut Mountain Supply, or up here. But I have to say, Unival icons, the two that I have are fantastic quality, and I really love them. So thank you so much, Alexandria. Really appreciate that. Okay, let's continue on. This is some positive news here. This is talking about Trump's new tax relief. So no tax on tips, something he campaigned on. No tax on Social Security for senior citizens, which I think is fantastic. They already paid into Social Security through taxed money. Why would they be taxed again? No tax on overtime. I think that's fantastic for the domestic workforce. Renew on Trump tax cuts, adjusting the SALT cap, ending tax breaks for billionaire sports team owners. I thought that was interesting. We didn't see that one coming. And closing the carried interest loophole, and tax cuts for made in America projects, which I'm all for domestic production. I think we were talking about this last night. I think that this new global order that we're seeing, because it does feel like the neoliberal post-World War II globalist consensus is falling apart. And I could see the EU breaking up, especially with some of the voices out of Italy, Germany, UK, even Marie Le Pen in France, if she was able to take power, being very critical of the EU and these sort of centralized agencies for global control. I think what's happening in the future is a return back to nationalism, and really a turn, and ultimately, instead of the local community becoming homogenized into this global consumerism of LGBTQ, depersonalization, transhumanism, all this different stuff, is that, and we were talking about identity. So in this post-World War II world, it's like, you couldn't be proud of being whatever European, that you're from. And I have a video even going to touch on this issue, that European peoples have lost the ability to be proud of their identity. And your family and the local community that you come from has always been historically tied to your identity. So, I'm Patrick from the Harry family, the Harry clan, the Harry surname, from this particular region, from this part of Indiana. That is my identity, whether I want to choose it or not. That's who I am. That's where I come from. And this movement towards, this constructive reconstruction of identity is part of this like globalist ideal of like dissolving national and local identity, like genetic identity. And it feels like what's happening is, especially with the racial realism conversation that's emerging online, is that what's happening is a return back to a focus on like your family, your people, your community. And I think economically, with again this push for like national domestic production, is the same thing, is that we're going to be focusing on communities and then moving out towards the nation state. And I think that's the way it's supposed to be. So I could be wrong, but it does seem to be a sort of general movement in regards to this sort of global cultural shift. And we had a member, shout out to my buddy Charzanis out in Greece. And he was talking about, since the Trump presidency, even the prime minister of Greece has had to do an about face on his promotion of like LGBTQ stuff. So you guys know, we talked about it on this stream that, what was it, 6 months ago, or at least within the last year, Greece became the first official Orthodox nation to legalize same-sex marriage. And this was against the wishes of the Orthodox Church, which the vast majority of the church was against, their hierarchs and such, clergy. But apparently after Trump was inaugurated, the prime minister of Greece within the last few weeks has done an about face and now said that there's only male and female. And he was the one that put forth and pushed the legislation through for same-sex marriage. And so we were talking about how even Trump in office, and again, Zionism, all that comes together. So good domestic policy, but then outright Zionism is part of this problem, part of this package that given, that leaders around the world are having to sort of change the rhetoric because the national voice of various nations is growing stronger and stronger and stronger. So I think that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So anyways, I digress. Let's just move on to this video clip and check it out. So this is the new press secretary, talking about his latest tax cuts.
So these are the tax priorities of the Trump administration that the president has laid out for members in that meeting today. No tax on tips, which is obviously a very public campaign promise that the president made. No tax on seniors' Social Security. No tax on overtime pay. Renewing President Trump's 2017 middle-class tax cuts. Again, these are the president's priorities. Adjusting the SALT cap. Eliminate all the special tax breaks for billionaire sports team owners. Close the carried interest tax deduction loophole. Tax cuts for Made in America products. This will be the largest tax cut in history for middle-class working Americans. The president is committed to working with Congress to get this done.
And as I said, I at least saw online today that there was a bill already put forth in Congress to repeal income tax. So, my God, if we got rid of income tax, that would be ginormous. Even with all the Zionism, I would be very, very happy with that. Alex says, to the Pompeo doctrine, oh gosh, Mike Pompeo, that declared that Israel's illegal settlements in the West Bank are not inconsistent with international law. Well, when you regard to international law, that's why I thought it was so interesting that Trump made a point today that he's going to go after the International Criminal Court because they have issued a warrant for the arrest of Bibi Netanyahu as a war criminal, which he is. He absolutely is. But unfortunately, that's where you kind of, the Zionism in the Trump administration is very, very strong. Anyways, let's go to the next story here. I'm not going to play too much of this. This is just Nicole Shanahan. She's a tech billionaire. She was the vice president candidate with RFK Jr. And she talked about how she was going to use her money to essentially challenge any senator who votes against RFK Jr. for HHS secretary, which I think is great. And after she made this announcement, and then Elon Musk, I think he quote tweeted this and said that he would support it as well. And then Charlie Kirk and TP USA also said they're going to do the same thing for Trump's nominees. So any U.S. senator, or especially Republican senator that votes against it, that they were going to campaign against in the coming elections. And well, after this, it's now, if you check out Polymart, it's like 90% likely that RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, and Kash Patel are all going to get appointed. So it seems like this sort of pressure by these tech billionaires. Now, you know, the conversation is the PayPal mafia and the tech oligarchy that seems to be in many ways taking over the United States. And they're doing good things. So, you know, if RFK Jr. gets in due to the threat of Nicole Shanahan, and he's able to actually limit vaccines, the mandatory list for children is just outrageous. The hepatitis B vaccine, all this different stuff. I think that'd be fantastic. And now I disagree much with RFK Jr. when it comes to social issues. I mean, he's pretty much a progressive on many social issues. He is Zionist as well. So that was made clear during his attempt to run for president. But in regards to health, that's one of the areas that I pretty much totally agree with RFK Jr. on. So him at HHS, I think, would be fantastic. Moving forward, this was announced today that Google is eliminating any minority hiring goals and will review its DEI program. So they haven't vowed to disregard their DEI program as of yet, but they are now eliminating their hiring goals for minorities, which, again, you can see the cultural tide in America has totally shifted. And whatever political and cultural power the left had seems to be just non-existent at this point. And then the next one, now this is going to be funny. Okay. So this is a little interesting. So I was telling you about this, is that President Trump is set to sign an executive order. This was for today. So this was at 11:30 this morning. He's set to sign an executive order to protect Christian freedoms and in any unlawful and improper anti-Christian conduct or policies instituted by the Biden administration. Fantastic. But what's the next one? This week, I'm also creating a White House faith office. fantastic. This was tied into it that Trump's going to create a Christian faith office at the White House. Fantastic. Wow, we're going to get back to Christianity and be explicit about it from the White House. And he says, we are so back, boys. And then led by Pastor Paula White. And he says, it has never been more so over. Pack it up. If you guys don't know who Pastor Paula White is, I'm about to show you a few videos. So she is nuts. She is, one, a female pastor, which is non-biblical by any standard. But she's like a mixture between evangelical and Pentecostal. She speaks in tongues. And I just want to show you what her sermons are like. So
There be that we would strike.
This is her during, I believe, the first Trump administration. And this is Trump's spiritual advisor, Paula White, who's a lunatic. This woman is a lunatic, calling on angels from Africa and South America to bring victory, I believe, in the 2020 election. So listen to this.
Strike and 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 strike until you have victory for every enemy that is aligned against you. Let there be that we would strike the ground, for you will give us victory, God. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of shouting and singing. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of an abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of an abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is.
We're going to watch this whole thing. But what is this? What is this? Yeah, Polsky Trucker says Paula White is straight heretic / false prophet. This is what I disagree about Trump. Absolutely. Absolutely. For this to be representative of the Christian office of faith. Oh, it's like we get 2 steps forward and then 3 steps back. Oh my gosh. This woman is nuts. But it's like she's singing a song. It's like she's getting ready to rap battle or something. I mean, this is Paula White's sermon rap battle. This is absolutely Harrison Parker throws in 20. Thank you so much. Says to lower her volume. Holy crap. All right. All right. Volume lowered, Harrison. Thank you so much, brother. But I want to show you the rest of this video and then her speaking in tongues. It's just outrageous. It's outrageous. Check this.
Is done. The Lord says it is done. For I hear victory, 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 victory in the corridors of heaven. In the corridors of heaven, victory, 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 victory. For angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. Hamanda ata ata raka teda baka sanda ata ambo osa tata rite eke banda ata rike didi ashata. For angels have even been dispatched from Africa right now. Africa right now. Africa right now, from Africa right now. They're coming here. They're coming here in the name of Jesus. From South America, they're coming here. They're coming here. They're coming here. They're coming here from Africa, from South America. Angelic forces, angelic reinforcement, angelic reinforcement, angelic reinforcement. Fika hata anda ata ora bata rata ande eke eke manda rasata. For I hear the sound of victory. 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 I hear the sound of victory.
I mean, it's just total nonsense. And for anybody wondering, you know, the Orthodox Church, we do not believe in the speaking of tongues post-Pentecost. And even regards to like neuroscience, there's been studies, I believe, I forget the doctor. Anyways, he established the field of neurotheology. Gosh, let me pull that up. I think is it Dr. Newman? Neurotheology. Anyways, they perform, let's see. Andrew Newberg, that's who it is. Dr. Andrew Newberg. So I have a couple books from Dr. Andrew Newberg. I thought it was interesting. Basically, they use neuroscience to look at various religious or spiritual techniques. And they've done research with like Tibetan monks meditating and different temperatures, different things to demonstrate how the mind can like regulate body homeostasis, all this different stuff. Well, they've done things with glossolalia, which is just the term for speaking in tongues, glossolalia. And what they showed in neuroscience is that like what Paula White was just doing is actually the shutting down of the neofrontal cortex. So one of the things that they found that they were surprised about is when people spoke in glossolalia, the language center of the brain was not active. So the neofrontal cortex was actually not activating. And this is really irrationality. And this is why Orthodox Christians, we don't not believe that God works in any irrational way. And so the speaking of tongues Pentecost is about all languages now proclaiming the singular truth of Jesus Christ. And this is the new Tower of Babel in the sense that it's not man-made construction building taking us up to heaven. It's that the Holy Spirit is uniting the world through believers, and through all the variety of tongues which God used to destroy the Tower of Babel, to separate groups of people, to cause confusion, is now coming together to cause coherence, right? And expressing the truth of Christ. So that's the Orthodox Church's opinion on this. I always get this by Pentecostals asking, what does the Orthodox Church think of speaking in tongues? Well, we don't do it. So anyways, this is just clips of her speaking in tongues. And I want to skip to these. Look at,
Lord, you're hungry. And you don't need my singing.
None of us do.
You don't need it. You'll cause the very rocks to cry out if I don't praise you. You said as long as there's breath in my body that I have to bless you. And I get to bless you. But God, you can't work in this earth without partnering, co-laboring with someone. So you're standing right now even looking to and fro in the earth for somebody to make up the hedge. You're looking for Hezekiah to come repair the doors to the temple. I'll finish this later. And to clean the corruptness of the priesthood, to get the people right and to get the house right. And when the people right,
was the priesthood all male, Paula?
And the house is right, you'll take care of the nation. Is in its proper place. David wrote in Acts 2:25. Y'all come on up. I was always beholding the Lord in my presence.
Anyways, you get it. I'm not going to force you guys to go through any more of that. But that is the new leader of the White House Faith Office, Paula White, Pastor Paula White, which, God, you know, that's where you question Donald Trump's sincerity as a Christian, whether it's just politically expedient for him to be or not. But this is nonsense, absolute nonsense. So before we go on to the next topic, let's check out our poll here. So in regarding Trump Gaza, let's see what the majority of you guys responded. So we had 323 votes, 24. So thank you so much for everybody who's voted in it. 5D chess, 14% of people think Trump's playing 5D chess with the claim that U.S. is going to take over Gaza. 57% claim it's just pure Zionism. And 30% believe it's a negotiating tactic. In my personal opinion, I'm afraid it's pure Zionism, but I'm hoping for a negotiating tactic. I could see him overselling with a statement like that to begin with, and then that's the art of the deal, right? And then what you really want is two concessions behind the first statement. And so I could see it being part of the art of the deal, but I pray it's not pure Zionism. So anyways, we're going to end it there, guys. Pure Zionism wins for sure by 57%. And then Super Chat came in. James S. throws in 14 Canadian, says, thanks for your knowledge always. Wondering if you think more people in China and Taiwan too will convert to Eastern Orthodoxy, have Taiwanese roots, have always been disturbed by folk religion rituals there. Yeah. I think that there's more opportunity in places like Korea and Japan, personally, just because of the CCP's crackdown on religion. If you've ever been to China, and I remember when I was there, if you go to a church, for example, like the CCP, there's officials at the church, and they're also like embedded within the clergy. They're not actual believers, but it's a way to monitor the religious communities there, and that's still in effect. And everybody knows what they've done to the Falun Gong, which is also a weird spirituality, but it had some type of historical roots, appealing to historical roots within Chinese spirituality. But I don't know. I hope that I could see, for example, wasn't it that China in their agreement with Russia is allowing like the Russian Orthodox Church to operate in China or something like that. So I hope and pray that's the case. But we already have saints, and Saint Nicholas of Japan, for example. And I've heard good things about people living in Korea and the growing Orthodox community there. I'm a little bit skeptical about China myself, but we can certainly pray for it, and I hope that it happens. But anyways, thank you very much, Jamie S., for the super chat. Okay, let's go to the next section here. So this was just me. I was just going to bring this up. This was the fact that 60,000 government employees have now taken Trump's buyout deal, and apparently unions are going to sue Trump for this. But as one person noted, they don't have a job to go back to. So I don't know what exactly they're going to sue him for. But here's this.
Breaking news and a Fox News alert now on that employee buyout program we were speaking to Carolyn Levitt about at the top of the hour. The number when we were speaking to her had been marked at 40,000 employees had decided to take the buyout. That number has now increased to 60,000. But there's a wrinkle, because unions representing federal workers had gone to court in Boston saying that this was an unconstitutional move by the president to offer this buyout, that any buyout would have to be authorized by Congress. Judge George O'Toole, who's a federal district judge up there in Boston, has put a temporary injunction on the midnight deadline for employees to submit whether or not they're going to take the buyout. He has now extended that until Monday at the very least. Again, these federal unions are saying that any kind of buyout like that would have to be authorized by Congress, and also argues that what the Trump plan is here is to replace career civil servants with, quote, partisan loyalists. But as far as we know from the president...
But isn't that the point of a presidency, is that the president changes and he brings his loyalists into office to offer a counterbalance to the previous administration? Isn't that the whole thing? So that's what I find so interesting with the Democrats. They get so upset. Trump's bringing in all his loyalists. Well, isn't that what every president does? And the fact that 60,000 civil servants who are unelected, the bureaucracy is, leaving. Isn't that not a fantastic thing? That's what I mean, is like the Democrats have no leg to stand on. They're defending USAID and to all these, all this corruption. And then they're defending the fact that there's so many federal bureaucrats and that this is somehow a good thing for American freedom. It makes zero sense.
Elon Musk, the plan is to downsize the civil service by about 100,000, if not more.
I don't see how this ends up going any way but Trump's long term. They're just gumming it up temporarily, but I don't see this as working. And you got to remember, for the 60,000 people that have already said they're going to do this, they're done. They know the writing's on the wall. They know that their job is not secure. They're trying to move on to other things. What's the union going to do? Force them into slave labor?
So we're not going to watch that whole video, but I thought that was pretty funny. If you guys want to watch a little bit of it, let me skip through it here.
Think about it.
Not just extended till Monday. I think it's at least Monday, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
there's another hearing on Monday, which is why he extended the deadline till then.
So interesting. So the number's up to 60,000 because I had asked Caroline Levitt, the press secretary, about whether or not that 40,000 number was where the president wanted to see, if that's what he wanted to see. She said that it was in line with their expectations, but this is obviously a bigger number now, 60,000. She didn't have any information about whether he would consider layoffs, mass layoffs, if the numbers didn't get bigger. But now the deadline extended, so we'll keep following that, John.
Yeah, well, Tom, you're.
Oh, crap.
Breaking news at a Fox News alert.
Judge, they put it in this is the
60,000.
CIA.
I think it's debatable whether that's going to be standing. I mean, listen, what happened was the Democrats went to their buddies in the unions and said, hey, we're looking for a way to try and stop this. You guys got any ideas? And some lawyers sat around and they said, well, maybe there's a spending powers issue here. Maybe there's this, maybe there's that. Let's find the right judge to put this in their court. They found the right judge. They put it in their court. They got the ruling. It's temporary. At the end of the day, they're going to have a hell of a time justifying keeping these people in. I don't see how this ends up going any way but Trump's long term. They're just gumming it up temporarily, but I don't see this as working. And you got to remember, for the 60,000 people that have already said they're going to do this, they're done. They know the writing's on the wall. They know that their job is not secure. They're trying to move on to other things. What's the union going to do? Force them into slave labor? I mean, the whole thing is absolutely nonsensical. It's just a Democrat ploy to try and gum up the works.
Well, that's right. It's just like the Cox Patel maneuver where they can have key senators.
I see you guys making comments about Alex Jones's new look. Dude, he's lost a ton of weight. So he's been posting, if you follow him on X, he's been posting his workout videos, and he's been training consistently for the last few months. I think he's lost like 50 to 70 pounds or something like that, but he's looking lean and mean. So I was just addressing some of the comments you guys are saying. And regarding this particular topic with the 60,000 buyouts, I mean, my hope is that it gets up to 100,000. I would love for more of these people to leave.
That are on the key committees are allowed to block it for 1 day. So 7 of them get together and block it for 7 days. He's got the votes. It's a speed hump, and everybody sees it. I mean, here's another example of what you're talking about with these judges. And I got a whole bunch of these examples today. Judge blocks Trump's order to transfer men who identify as women to male prisons. He'll win that one. New York's AG tells hospitals to defy Trump's child gender mutilation order as other states comply, because it's always been illegal. They've just been doing it. So now they're going to have to defend each piece of this, and the Democrats are threatening the hearings. They don't even control Congress, but if they did, can you imagine them marching up and defending all this?
Well, I mean, it's a political. It's dead. Their political doom is written. I mean, they've lost this fight. They're holding on for dear life. But the LGBTQ, the transgender surgery in children. I mean, that qualifies under about 1,000 different ways as child abuse. I mean, this is They love it when Obama and Biden interpreted the law however they wanted to expand into this nonsense where they're abusing kids and doing all.
Just to address the chat, you guys were talking about his son Austin, or referring to Austin. His son is looking into it, as I recall. No, his son has been brought into the Orthodox faith over at shout out to Father Moses McPherson. It's Father Moses's church that Alex Jones' son attends. And the rumor is, Jay Dyer's a friend of Alex Jones, and now his son is Orthodox. And he made a comment, a couple months ago, about how he's Protestant, but he really likes what he's hearing about the Orthodox faith. Something came up, I forget. It was in the news. Oh, I think he was addressing all the young men converting to Orthodoxy. That's what it was. And so, so his son's Orthodox. Obviously, Jay's in contact with him. So let's pray that maybe one day Alex Jones becomes an Orthodox Christian. That'd be great. So anyways, continuing on here.
All these horrible things. But now they don't like it when Trump uses the same power in reverse. And this is the real problem in the brilliance of what Trump and Musk are doing. They looked at what the bad guys did and said, okay, how can we use their tactics against them? And that's exactly what they're doing. And, right now, all you're seeing is the Democrats screaming because Trump is using the same executive power that they supported Biden and Obama using for for 12 of the last 16 years. This is stuff Biden and Obama opened these doors. I am 100% in agreement that we need to rein in the power of the executive branch. But right now, all you've got is Donald Trump using the same powers that Biden and Obama used to destroy our country for 12 of the last 16 years. And the Democrats are squealing because they don't like that he's using the power of the executive branch, power that was never supposed to be there, but that Biden and Obama opened up.
Unless you've been hiding under a rock, you know about the.
Okay. All right. So that's enough on that topic. Next topic. We can't finish our stream without addressing some of the tariff wars. So I think we mentioned it last time that Trump was threatening tariffs. And then after the last news stream we did, he then said he was going to implement 25% tariffs against Canada and Mexico. And people were saying, oh my gosh, this is terrible. You know, he already threatened Trudeau with tariffs when he came and visited him at Mar-a-Lago. And then Trudeau made a comment, according to Trump, Trudeau made a comment that, well, if you do that, you know, you're going to tank the Canadian economy. And he said, well, if you guys exist by us supplementing your economy, maybe you should just become the 51st state, which I don't want all the Canadian liberals part of the American political system. So if they could have maybe be like a territory or something, but they can't vote in our elections. But we talked last time about how, you know, the NATO regions, the UN regions of the world, and that North America is like region 3, and it's Greenland, Canada, and the United States is one region. And so we're talking about it. Is Trump going along with this sort of Agenda 21, globalist takeover, doing away with nation states? It seems to be that this was also another art of the deal. So he wanted them to apparently provide border control, and he wanted to shore up the northern and southern borders. So he threatened them with this 25% tariff, which then Trudeau the next day, you know, shaking in his pants at a podium and says, well, Canada is going to now put 25% tariffs on American goods. And one, it doesn't have the same effect because our economy is so much larger that, you know, we don't need Canadian trees and we don't need Canadian cars being made out of Ontario. We just need to build them over in Detroit, you know, right across the lake there. And anyways, this is a pose from Trudeau. So it was like earlier that day, they were going to implement tariffs on the United States. And Trump threatened, he said, if Canada implements tariffs against us, I'm going to up it to 50%. And so literally within a few hours, Justin Trudeau then posts this: I had a good call with President Trump. Canada is implementing our $1.3 billion border plan, reinforcing the border with new choppers, technology, and personnel, enhance coordination with our American partners, and increase resources to stop the flow of fentanyl. Nearly 10,000 frontline personnel are and will be working on protecting the border. In addition, Canada is making new commitments to appoint a fentanyl czar. We will list cartels as terrorists, ensure 24/7 eyes on the border, launch a Canada-U.S. joint strike force to combat organized crime, fentanyl, and money laundering. I have also signed a new intelligence directive on organized crime and fentanyl and will be backing it with $200 million. Proposed tariffs will be paused for at least 30 days while we work together. And the same thing happened with the Jewish president of Mexico, Sheinbaum, who, as we mentioned before, she's already, how she got the presidency of Mexico is already nefarious. There's like 26 people who are running against her were all killed by the cartel except her, which tells you that she works with the cartels. The cartels wanted her to be president. I mean, Jews are like 0.3, 0.2% of Mexico or something like that. And now they have a Jewish president. But then she caved the same day, and she's sending 10,000 Mexican troops to stop illegals from crossing the U.S. border after Trump agrees to delay tariffs for 1 month. And in addition to that, she agreed to take back the people that we're going to deport back to Mexico. So again, was that the art of the deal? It sure seems to be, but those were positives that recently occurred. And then Trump also said that he'll be tariffing the EU. I believe it was 10 or 15% on the EU, which is going to totally hurt them as well. And I bet he's going to use that as a negotiating tactic to get them to pay for NATO and withdraw the U.S. from the Ukraine-Russia conflict. I hope that's at least my goal. But the EU is not in good shape. That's for sure. Okay, now the next section I want to do, and we're going to play this whole video. So if you don't know of Mike Benz, he's actually a friend of Jay's. Mike Benz has done some really good research on like some of the corruption within the federal government, intelligence agencies, and he's been one of the best voices I've heard in the last week concerning all this USAID oversight. And so this was an interview I believe he did yesterday, and I want to play the whole thing because basically he's talking about USAID and what's been really going on, you know, funding all this transgenderism and atheism and different media outlets around the world. I mean, just a bunch of degenerate stuff. So check this out. This is fantastic.
He's the executive director of the Foundation for Freedom Online, Mike Benz. Mike, thank you for joining me this evening. Brother, we're hearing some pretty disturbing accusations about some of where our tax dollars have gone via USAID. Give us the facts.
Well, that's because USAID is one of the most disturbing organizations in the entire federal government. It may rank number one, in fact. USAID is under the cloak of being a humanitarian aid organization designed to advance U.S. foreign policy, is assigned the dirtiest tasks that the State Department can't get caught doing, and that used to be done directly by the CIA. But USAID is able to act as essentially a covert operations division in the way that the CIA used to, except it's not even bound by the requirement of a presidential finding to authorize a covert operation that the CIA does, which is why what you've seen for the past 2 decades is that most of the international scandals involving spycraft have had to deal with USAID rather than CIA. And if you understand the CIA's history with money laundering, you'll begin to get a glimpse at the size of the problem with USAID and why they won't let either congressional oversight or DOJ see their books.
So have they literally have struck gold of the gold of corruption, the massive bank vault that holds all the dirty details and secrets of the left and of the machine, maybe left and right, anybody complicit in basically selling out the American citizen and their tax dollars for nefarious actions, and it sounds like including the CIA. What is the CIA implicated? More details in what they've done.
Oh, well, I mean, just to your point first about the Democrat-Republican side, it's both. While the USAID employees contribute 97% to Democrats, the more pernicious concern, so far as I'm concerned, is actually the blob Republicans, the internationalist Republicans who profit off of exploiting the American empire for their own private gain. For example, Bill Kristol, the famous never Trumper who likens MAGA people to terrorists, he is a part of an organization that receives millions of dollars from USAID. And so to the barricades, he goes to defend USAID. You find Liz Cheney was spawned out of USAID. USAID's sister group, the National Endowment for Democracy, has a Democrat organization and a Republican organization. And that Republican organization, the International Republican Institute, gets about $100 million a year just for Republican profiteering off of U.S. foreign policy. And the problem is far deeper than wokeness. And I want people to really understand this. When the National Endowment for Democracy, the constant companion of USAID and functionally interchanged, it was born out of a USAID memo in 1982 to give birth to the National Endowment for Democracy. But when they overthrew the government of Bangladesh 4 months ago in September 2024, these are leaked documents that were published in the gray zone just 3 months ago. The internal baseline assessment that the IRI submitted to the State Department was that the only groups that they could muster to form an opposition group against the sitting government were gay and transgender groups, were 2 racial minority groups within Bangladesh, and youth and student groups who predominantly listen to rap music. So what did they turn around and do? IRI, in tandem with USAID, they funded Bangladeshi rap groups. They funded transgender dance festivals. And they funded the local universities in order to push radicalization messages to overthrow the democratically elected government. But that was Republicans. That was the International Republican Institute, not the Democrats. And my concern is if this were just a partisan issue, there'd be no problem shutting USAID down, because right now there's going to be a legal fight over whether you can shut USAID down by executive order. This is one of the main contentions right now that Democrats are vowing to fight. But if you couldn't do it through an executive order, you could do it through an act of Congress. The problem is it's going to be much harder to do it through an act of Congress because Republicans there, internationalist Republicans who do foreign policy for personal profit, can form a majority coalition bloc with Democrats, so that they can defect over to the Democrats and shoot down an attempt to legislate USAID out of existence. And the problem, again, is because they either directly or indirectly, or their sponsors or donors, are on the take.
Wow. Yeah, we have hit the mother lode here. I really hope that it's something that President Trump can just issue an EO and say it's done. I hope also that as they begin to uncover the details of all of these schemes that go back 20 years, as you say, I hope that the individuals involved get exposed, and literally the America gets to see exactly who's been on the take for doing what, and maybe that'll push the ability for President Trump to sign an executive order and shut it down. What are your thoughts?
Well, in terms of what, the amount is totally eye-popping and overwhelming. The analogy that I've been giving for the past 2 years is that many people think they live in the world they think they live in, but in some respects, it's a carefully constructed Truman Show made up of movie characters around them, produced by USAID. And what I mean by that is USAID has infected the institutional architecture of every aspect of American society and world society. They have infected the media by USAID-sponsored media. They have infected social media by galvanizing advertiser boycotts and pressure to change social media algorithms. They've corrupted the prosecutors by USAID's work with prosecutors, prosecutor groups, and media groups to create predicates for prosecutors to take action. They've corrupted the unions. They've corrupted the public health institutions. They've virtually every layer, from academia to civil society to the private sector to the media to the government, is flowing through with unaccountable USAID bribe money to advance what's said to be U.S. foreign policy interests. But because Donald Trump ran on a foreign policy vision dramatically different from the legacy establishment, they used USAID as the tip of the spear to kill the domestic drivers of foreign policy, aka take out the guy who's running for president and his movement, and you won't have to worry about anyone challenging our foreign policy vision.
Wow, I gotta go. This is amazing. I need to have you back on really soon, Mike. But really quickly, if you can tell me in 15 or 20 seconds, has every past president for the last 20 years known about this corruption with USAID and just chose not to do anything about it?
Well, most of them are on the take. Joe Biden was the head of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, which directly oversees USAID. USAID was funding Burisma. USAID gave money to Burisma and had a formal partnership agreement with Burisma. Barack Obama's mother worked for USAID. The Bush family runs right through it. Bush's Vice President Dick Cheney, Liz Cheney worked for USAID. They're all in on it. And this is the reason that the Trump revolution was so revolutionary, is because it defeated both sides of the USAID snake. And now we're going to see just exactly how the snake bites back when it's cornered.
I wonder if all of the lawfare and the everything that they threw at President Trump in his first term, the Russiagate, the collusion, all the stuff, I wonder if that was just to try to keep him on his heels enough to not look at USAID. But
wait, but that was a USAID thing
Mike
too.
Pence, appreciate you.
Can I say this one thing real quick? No, I have to say this.
Yeah.
Okay. USAID funded a group called the OCCRP. Everyone can look this up. They paid $20 million to a group of hit piece journalists who turned around and dug up dirt on Rudy Giuliani and then used that as the basis to impeach the sitting president, Donald Trump, in 2019. That was USAID.
That right there. That explains it. I was just, again, you nailed it. You had the information and it makes sense. I got to have you back soon, Mike. We're going to keep close eyes on this here at the Pulse. Mike.
So, and then there's another post that I wanted to show you guys that I forgot to include. So where is okay. So, and this is today. So this was at 2:45 a.m. So early this morning. the official USAID website, everyone is fired. And so 10,000 people are losing their jobs overnight. So Trump is not playing games with USAID. And let me show you what this says. Come on. Man, X is working a little slow for me right now. So on February 7th, 2025, which is tomorrow, all USAID direct hire personnel will be placed on administrative leave globally with the expectation of designated personnel responsible for mission critical functions, core leadership, and specifically designated programs. Essential personnel expected to continue working will be informed by agency leadership by Thursday, February 6th. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but it says USAID personnel currently posted outside of the United States. The agency, in coordination with the missions of the Department of State, is currently preparing a plan in accordance with all applicable requirements and laws, under which the agency would arrange and pay for return travel to the United States within 30 days and provide the termination of PSC and ISC contracts that are not determined to be essential. So 10,000 employees of USAID just lost their job today. And as of right now, I believe Marco Rubio is acting as the Secretary of State, that he is now officially in charge of USAID. And the goal, from what I've heard, is that they don't know if they can annihilate the entire USAID department, but they're going to try to appropriate it into the State Department and essentially lean it out as much as they can legally. So that's huge news and very, very exciting stuff. But one of the things, including all the degeneracy that came out, is that Chelsea Clinton became a multimillionaire through USAID. And so it shows that Chelsea Clinton had been given $84 million through USAID. And this is the little thing here where you can see the outline of all this different stuff. And so Bill and Hillary Clinton, and then you can see all these different payment methods through philanthropy, the Community Foundation, Tides Foundation, the Windward Fund. And so it's so obvious that USAID is just a money laundering operation for the globalist establishment. And that's essentially what it is. It's money laundering out in the open. So it's amazing what has been discovered here. But $84 million, that's incredible. So yeah. Anyways, moving on to the next topic here. Now we're going to get at Nala, right? So this is where our friend Andrew Wilson is, as at least Michael Knowles tried to make him out to be a bad guy based on his criticisms of Nala. So if you guys aren't aware, this chick Nala, she used to have bright red hair. I saw Crispy in the chat said he doesn't know who Knowles and Nala is. Michael Knowles of the Daily Wire. And Nala is the name of this girl. I don't even know her full real name, but she went by Nala, and she was essentially a porn star on OnlyFans. She had a very large following. She made millions of dollars. She used to have bright red hair, and like she went on the Whatever podcast and bragged about how much she loves giving fellatio, how much she loves creating content, how she makes so much money that she sends it back to her Christian dad, who's now okay with her making pornographic material, all this different stuff. And then what is it? I mean, I don't even know if it was a full year ago or not, but she apparently had a come to Jesus moment, and she began reading the Bible. This is according to her. And she repented of her ways. And so she decided she was no longer going to make pornographic material. Well, then there was a controversy because she actually never deleted her page. And then I guess she had like a private Telegram group for followers, and she was like eliminating the lower payment tiers. And so you had to pay like $50 now to get access to all the material that she already had up. Meanwhile, she was professing her faith in Christ and that she was beyond all this stuff. She was no longer participating in it. And so she has been heralded as of late, and Michael Knowles was one of the first people to really platform her as like this reformed Christian or newly reformed Christian that was previously a harlot. And people were talking about how Knowles, you got lied to, and she played him, and he, held her up as like a Mary Magdalene, even though Mary Magdalene wasn't a prostitute. That's actually a misconception. But like a reformed prostitute come to Christ type thing. And she then got married, and I'm about to show you that. So this is, let's see here. What happened to my internet? What is going on? Yes, here we go. Here's the Michael Knowles channel. And this down here, if we go to videos, where's the one with Nala? Right here. Former OnlyFans model and husband, Christian or liar, Nala Ray. And it really didn't get that many views. Like this was, he dropped this like this was going to be a huge, momentous video, in-person interview with Nala. Is she really lying about her Christianity? And meanwhile, I'm going to play you her Christian housewife material. And you tell me, does it seem like she's sexualizing something or not?
Fly me to the moon. Let me play.
Okay, we can't play that. That is definitely going to get copyrighted. So we're going to turn the music off. We'll just play the video here. Okay. So she's doing her baking, making her stuff. And right now, pretty wholesome, right? No body, no sexuality, nothing that could be of interest. So maybe she's reformed. Maybe she's a good housewife now. Oh, okay. Now she's back with, a tight-fitting jacket. Okay. Lovey-dovey eyes at the camera. Oh, licking her spatula, crossing her eyes, which was a famous thing that she would do regarding like men ejaculating in her mouth. She would like cross her eyes and stick her tongue out. Weird that she would do that after licking a spatula, huh? And here she is making her whatever it is, licking her finger. I mean, come on, guys. Did you just see how she, held that roller? Let me zoom in. I mean, she is totally sexualizing this whole thing, right? Watch how she grabs this roller and puts flour on it. This is not some reformed chick that is trying to lead people to Christ. This is a grifter who is trying to make money basically through Christian men that are going to believe that she's reformed. I mean, this is just sexualized trad housewife content. And for those of you, like I have a friend who, and his wife does like trad housewife stuff, recipes, and she dresses modestly. She wears dresses. It's not about her. It's like videos of her hands making things. The point of the video isn't her because it's actually about traditional housewife baking and different things that they do. This is not her wearing leggings and her tight-fitting jacket and unzipping it just above her breast. Polsky Trucker said, DPH, this is what a misogynist would say. Oh, no, guilty as charged. No, just joking. No, I appreciate it, Polsky Trucker. And I think we missed a super chat. Bitter Klinger threw in 5 and said, do you think maybe Trump could send Pastor Paula White to China to evangelize? I hope. That'd be fantastic. Maybe she can. Well, she speaks in tongues, so I'm sure they'll understand what she says, right? And then Polsky Trucker throws in 5, says, I saw a video about USAID from Mike Benz. He goes deeper into this and how USAID used taxpayer money to fund radical policies in other countries. Absolutely right. So anyways, this Nala chick, she is a grifter. And there's been a lot of heat put on Andrew and Rachel Wilson because they call her out for such. And then she goes on the Whatever podcast with Andrew and doesn't even have like Christian belief. She has a totally heretical Christology. And so this is, so Andrew posted this. Oh, what? Here it is. He said, the lie edited to sound like I'm saying you're a lying, deceiving prostitute. The truth, you were is what was stated, and in context, you will now understand why it was said. So he's showing how Michael Knowles essentially edited a clip to make Andrew look worse in promotion of this Nala chick. So I'm going to show you first the video that Knowles starts his stream off with, or his video off with, and then the context that Andrew provides.
Shook the internet the first time you came on. I got in so much trouble for talking to you.
I know you haven't. I appreciate that.
They say very nasty things about you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we know.
You were a lying, deceiving prostitute.
Right? So from that, it looks like Andrew's calling him a lying, deceiving prostitute. But here's the actual context.
I'm just going to follow up on the super chatter. By the way, I mean, I don't even know why you're so hostile with me. We haven't even really disagreed about anything most of the night.
Most of the night. No. No, absolutely. But my thing with you is that, like, how not even degrading, but like when I came on last, you were so hostile towards me and what I did. And there was no love in your heart from me.
That was good.
So as a Christian, you think it's okay?
You were a lying, deceiving prostitute. And you're like, Andrew, why weren't you just nice? Like, what are you talking about? Good.
I have a question.
Didn't Jesus
and you see how Nala doesn't correct him because he said you were, right? So he was saying when she came on, Andrew, you were so mean to me. And he's saying, yeah, well, you were doing OnlyFans and you were a prostitute. Look, and at least now you're claiming to not do all that stuff. You're not in promotion of it. Isn't that a good thing? And so anyways, Michael Knowles, then this is his video. Again, 5 days ago. Man, he puts out a lot of videos. But
the first time you came on.
If you look at the amount of views, it really wasn't that much. I mean, he got, let's see, 509, almost 600,000 views for a video on JD Vance destroys Yale professor. And some of them are, 38,000, 57,000. But you see, Daily Wire is just a reaction channel. They don't really produce unique things. Like all their content creators, Michael Knowles, Ben Shapiro, even Matt Walsh. I mean, at least Matt Walsh does, what is a woman and stuff like that. But you go to their YouTube channels, it's just all reacting to like cultural events. They don't produce like interesting ideas or here's a presentation on this. It's just cheap stuff. So it only got like 139,000 views.
Really shook the internet the first time.
And this is the full intro, so you can see it better.
Came on. I got in so much trouble for talking to you.
I know you haven't. I appreciate that.
They say very nasty things about you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we know.
You were a lying, deceiving prostitute. You said that you lied about everything. People were tagging me in it on social media, and they said, see, Michael, here's proof that she lied to you.
Everything I've said on podcasts is complete clickbait.
Why do you think people want you to be lying?
That happened to her. I can't believe that it's real, because then that means I can change my ways and still get saved.
She was brought up in the church. Is this mental illness?
People have criticized you because they say, you made all this money. Where's the penance? They say you should give all your money away.
And what I don't understand is how the dude marries her. So I watched a little bit of it, but it was so mind-numbing. I couldn't even get through it. And then so I scrolled down here to look at like what are the people who watch the Daily Wire? What are their thoughts on it? And it says Michael Knowles did something in this interview that is rarely seen. He exemplified grace. Oh God. Hearing her apology to the wives and husbands who struggle with lust helps so much. Thank you. I hope she continues to grow and chase God. Well, I hope she continues to become a Christian, but this is the thing that Rachel's brought up that I think is totally accurate. These women who make millions of dollars doing pornography on OnlyFans, and then they flip one day and all of a sudden they're Christian, and then they start educating people on Christianity. I mean, there's videos of her like reading the Bible and telling people how to interpret it. Like, lady, maybe your noetic faculties are a little bit clouded based on all the degeneracy you participated in. How about you just take a step back and get off the internet for a couple years? That's why the criticism of her being grifter is legitimate, because she doesn't stop with the social media. She doesn't, she sells products now and stuff like that, and like Bible, like Christian, merchandise, stuff like that. Why don't you just get off the internet? If you're so repentful and you're so sorry, you got millions of dollars. You don't need to constantly be creating content online, but on TikTok and her Instagram, she still posts videos all the time. So her desire to be noticed. Her desire to get men's attention is still there. And it's evident by her trad housewife videos where she's putting flour on a rolling pin and licking the spatula and then putting it on her finger and then making eye contact with the camera. Like, we all know what you're doing. We all know what you're doing. You need to get off the internet if you're serious about your faith. You're not in a position to teach. And even Andrew made this point to where it's like, women aren't supposed to be teaching people about scripture. It's not their role. It's not their role in the church. And so, Alexandria, she's absolutely a Christian grifter. And what she's doing now is just pivoting and getting a large audience of young, impressionable Christian guys that probably have lustful porn addictions. And they think that, well, at least I'm not watching porn, but I want to see what Nala's doing. Or it's just disgusting. And so looking at these comments, it's just ridiculous. I don't know Nala. I don't know her heart or motives, but I know every time I see her, her clothes are becoming more and more modest. Her way of speaking is becoming more and more gentle, and she's throwing out scriptures more frequently. I do see promising signs and praying for her, whatever you think of her. It's so important. Okay. Anyway, so most people were totally the prodigal daughter. I mean, it's just total nonsense. It was. So God bless Andrew and all the work he does on the Whatever podcast, because he's one of the last voices of reason and sanity. And these girls attack him too. So I made this point last time, like, Andrew doesn't really attack them until they attack him. And he's just so much more superior at, linguistic combat that they're not going to have a chance. And he makes them look retarded. But exactly, Bill Hicks, it's the simping. The problem is the simping. The problem is the men who watch videos of Nala now that she's a Reformed Christian. The problem is the accommodation to women based on your uncontrollable lust. Dude, stop. Like, I can't even think of myself of any woman online that I follow or watch. I can't even think of a single woman that I'm subscribed to on social media that I got to be up to date on what they're doing. Because if you're a married man, why would you? I'm sure she is. No, she is. She's a type of Protestant, and she comes up with her own theology. I mean, there's clips of here. Let me just pull it in. Andrew Wilson Nala. Let's see here. Here, Andrew Wilson versus Nala's husband.
Somebody didn't know what the words meant. They understood what wrench meant and hand and me. And you said, hand me that wrench. And they didn't understand what meant, but they understood what the rest of the words meant. Who have you affronted with the word?
Well, they don't understand that word, but their spirit understands it.
What is their spirit understands it?
Yes.
What?
Yes. The Holy Spirit is still around us. So why are you swearing and trying to justify it? It doesn't make sense to me.
Would you have your wife in front of God?
We do.
Yeah.
Because the
in our
Holy
house.
Spirit is
Your wife in front of God?
the Holy Spirit is part of Christ.
Do you not have the Holy Spirit?
Okay,
I didn't know.
All right.
The Holy Spirit is not part of Christ. The Holy Spirit is the third person of the Godhead, which is tripartite in three persons with one essence.
Is he a voyeur, or I didn't know he was into?
I don't want to hear that. But there's so many clips. I don't want to play one of these full videos. Oh, this one's 3 minutes. Oh no, there's 3 minutes left. Here's Nala.
How would you even?
Money. Let me break down the money for you. So number one, I was living in California while I was making this money. California tax ridiculously insane. Only takes what, 20%? OnlyFans takes 25% of what you make. It didn't matter how much of what I made my gross income that got. So my gross income got taxed 25%. So 25% of that got taken out. Then the tax I pay in California. Then the creator people that I was with took 50%. The agency took 50% of what I made. So you're left with all of that. Whatever's left out of all of that taxed. It's not like I just got $9 million. All of that got taxed 3 ways. And then whatever was left got sent to me. So, and no, you are not required, and nowhere in the Bible does it say. So there was this one man that Jesus told to sell all his belongings to and follow him. There was one man. That is not a stipulation for all Christians to sell everything that you have and then go follow Christ. If Christ told me to sell everything, which I've already sold everything, and follow him, I will. However, giving up all your money is not a requirement to be able to follow Christ. So if you're not a Christian, or you are a Christian and you're saying this, you need to get that out of your head. Because if God specifically told me, like reached down and told me, you know what, you need to be homeless in order to follow me, I'd be like, you know what, I know you'll provide for me no matter what, I'll be homeless. But I do not feel called to do that. Regardless of that, I have sold everything I own. I literally drive a Jeep now, and I live in South Carolina. So what do you got to say, Andrew? I'm really I'm so intrigued.
I'm just gonna follow up on the super chatter. By the way, I mean, I don't even know why you're so hostile with me. We haven't even really disagreed about anything most of the night.
Most of the night. No, I not absolutely. But my thing with you is that how not even degrading, but when I came on last, you were so hostile towards me and what I did. And there was no love in your heart from me.
That was good.
So as a Christian, you think it's okay.
You were a lying, deceiving prostitute. And you're like, Andrew, why wouldn't you just dice? Like, what are you talking about? Good.
I have a question.
Didn't
Jesus are you feet of prostitutes or something?
By your own admission,
Jesus got
washed his feet. Deceiving, deceitful, satanic prostitute by your own admission.
Satanic?
Wow, that's a new one. That's a new one.
Hang on, Nala. You told me.
Yes, Andrew.
You told me that you had faith in Jesus Christ then. That your parents were pastors, that you had faith then.
You're getting it wrong already. So to unmisquote you,
you were going to do it.
You can play the quote. You can play the clip if you want.
Let me finish so you can respond. Okay. You said even then that you knew the truth, but you turned away anyway. Okay. So that you could basically make money. Now you say now, okay, well, listen, that was all a character. I'm willing to believe that. I didn't ever say that you weren't playing a character. I'm willing to totally and completely believe you. Okay, but there's no way for me to determine that. I can only determine things based on what you say. So you say to me, well, I'm a degenerate prostitute who lies about everything, right? And it's like, okay, what did you want me to say to that? What would you have wanted me to say?
So number one, you completely misquoted me. I never once said back then that I lied. Number two, I never said that I knew what to do and knew how to follow Christ. I said that I was hurt by the church. I said that my dad was a pastor before I started OnlyFans. So there's the clarification on that. I was hurt by the church. I've been through three.
Your dad knew.
Can you play the clip? Because this is crap.
I recently watched the clip. Did you say that your dad's being a pastor when you're 18 years old? Yeah.
No,
and I wasn't on OnlyFans.
You said that I was a bad father because I would disown, unlike your father, right? Because I would disown my child based on some.
I'm not saying you as a father should condone what your kid was doing on OnlyFans. But you.
Anyways, you guys get it. So you guys can check that video. I just put Andrew Wilson and Nala in, and more will come up. But moving on to the next topic at hand, we're going to be diving into Mr. Destiny himself. And this is going to be a little short section going over his lawsuit. But I couldn't miss this video. Jay shared this video, and this is Destiny as of recent. So he's, the greatest sophist on the internet. I mean, he does these debates and he's so confident in what he's saying, and he is pretty quick-witted, although his jaw's always going like that, his Adderall-ridden jaw. But he thought Bolshevism was an art movement. I'm kidding. I kid you not, guys. You won't believe it till you see this. He thought Bolshevism is an art movement.
What is cultural Bolshevism? That's like the first type of like weird neo-Nazi, or not neo-Nazi, I'm sorry, pre-Nazi stuff. No, during the Nazi Party. I'm not going to be able to give you much detail about it, but I think that Bolshevism was like a rise in like artistic movement in the Weimar Republic, I think. What is cultural?
What? This guy doesn't even know what Bolshevism is, and he's always arguing about geopolitics. What are you talking about? Like, it's just unreal. And for those of you who don't know, Bolshevism is essentially the Jewish group that planned on overthrowing Russia, killed the Tsar Nicholas, and instantiated the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917. So thinking that it was an art movement in the Weimar Republic is hilarious. I do appreciate that. But anyways, regarding Destiny's lawsuit, I was wanting to give you just a quick summary of like what's going on. And this video popped up. Now, I will say the guy narrating it is pretty cringe, but it was a pretty good little overview of everything that was going on. So, you know, the ultimate degen on the internet, and Andrew's called him out so many different times, is Destiny himself. And I told you that he basically was filming people that he had sex with. And Andrew's even spoken about how he has deals with like leftist female content creators that he'll platform them and use his community to help drive engagement and get them off the ground for essentially sexual favors. And he's a homosexual. I mean, I consider it homosexual. He describes himself as bisexual or hetero. I mean, he brags about giving men fellatio and how much he enjoys it. He says only his sexual activities, only 30% is with men, and he still considers himself heterosexual, at least from things that I've seen online. So you figure that out. You do that arithmetic. You figure that math out for me. I'm not sure how that works. If you have any sexual interaction with a man, in my opinion, you're a homosexual. But anyway, this is a little bit of an overview of his lawsuit.
The Destiny situation just got a whole lot worse. First, we have Pixie.
Again, forgive the video of the guy. It's kind of cringy and kind of cartoony, but it is a solid, concise 2-minute, 50-second overview of it all.
YouTuber who has stepped forward with allegations so big they practically have their own gravitational pull. She claims that our favorite debate bro, Destiny, non-consensually distributed explicit images of her. Not just any images, mind you. These are the kind that should stay locked away in a vault labeled never open under any circumstances. But apparently Destiny thought it was a great idea to share these gems with a random 19-year-old who then, surprise, surprise, leaked them to the entire internet. Brilliant move, Steven, truly. Now, Pixie's not just sitting back and letting this slide. Nope, she's lawyering up and heading to federal court. That's right. She's coming in hot under U.S. Federal Code 15 U.S.C. Section 6851, which basically says you don't get to ruin someone's life by sharing their nudes. Pixie's looking for emotional and punitive damages, and honestly, who could blame her? She's also crowdfunding this legal battle because apparently justice comes with a hefty price tag. According to her, it's going to cost tens of thousands of dollars. Now let's talk about Destiny's response.
Apparently justice comes with a hefty price. This dude's so cringe. So again, I apologize for forcing you guys to listen to this guy, but again, it provides a good little overview.
Which is basically one big shrug. He's denying everything, saying leak? What leak? I didn't know about any leak. He claims the whole thing happened without his consent, and he'd like everyone to know he's the real victim here. Yes, the man whose actions allegedly caused this mess is now pulling the poor me card. He says he offered Pixie emotional and financial support because nothing says, I'm sorry for ruining your life, like offering to pay someone's water bill. That's right, folks. Destiny allegedly thought a small utility payment would patch this all up. Groundbreaking. But wait, there's more. Pixie's not the only one airing grievances. Enter Dan, Destiny's friend and collaborator, who has decided to weigh in on Destiny's relationship history, specifically his time with Melina, Destiny's ex-wife. According to Dan, Destiny was a bad husband, which is putting it mildly. Melina, it seems, spent a lot of time crying and confiding in Dan about how miserable she was. And Destiny? He reportedly admitted to being selfish.
But how retarded is Melina for marrying Destiny and being in an open marriage in which your husband engages in sexual acts with men? You can also apparently engage in sexual acts with other people, of which apparently Destiny likes to watch. And you didn't think that you're going to be in a bad marriage. And of course, she left him for like some super effeminate dude in Sweden, I believe. I don't even know if they're still together, but the videos came out with that. And I mean, the dude is, she looks like she almost has more testosterone than her new boyfriend or whatever they are. But I mean, this is what this thing about not like placing blame on women or providing accountability for them. She freaking married the dude. What are you talking about? And I would be, what type of married woman is confiding in another man anyways? That shouldn't be the case either.
and emotionally neglectful. But hey, at least he's honest about being a bad partner, right? That's got to count for something. Dan didn't stop there, though. He said he advised Melina to leave if she felt the relationship was abusive. Now back to Pixie. She's not just suing for herself. She's on a mission. She's worried that Destiny's influence is growing unchecked and that his alleged behavior will continue if no one stops him. She's even calling out the Destiny fan club for turning a blind eye to all of this. Apparently, it's hard to hold someone accountable when they're busy hosting debates and building a platform. And let's not forget Destiny's stance on all this. He's made it clear that all communication with Pixie will now go through his lawyers, because nothing says I'm innocent like refusing to talk directly to the person accusing you. He's also adamant that he hasn't broken any laws. Classic move: deny, deflect, lawyer up. It's practically the blueprint for online drama at this point. So is this the beginning of Destiny's downfall or just another messy internet saga? Let me know.
I would suppose another messy internet saga. I mean, I've never seen people who actually like Destiny have any sort of moral inkling within them. So I don't suspect that his sort of cult following is going to go away. But I've also never seen, has Destiny ever even addressed the lawsuit publicly? I have not heard of any videos in which he actually addresses it. So I'm not sure. I put in Destiny lawsuit and I come up. That's hilarious. The people are going to seeing me scrolling through the feed. That's funny. Anyways, what I did see come out regarding some of this stuff is that he was filming people without their permission. Rachel says he did address it in his first live stream back, but only briefly, and to say that he wasn't going to talk about it, but that he had targets on all the people who turned on him, basically. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense to me. Oh, Jay Hamza, thank you so much, brother. He says the Satanic Feminism book is something that needs to be read and picked up just as much as the Red Feminism book. It's very informative. Read at your discretion. Yeah, let me show you guys what Jay's referring. I believe this is the one he's referring to. And I got to give a special shout out to Rachel because she's the one that turned me on to this. But it's Per Faxnell, Satanic Feminism, Lucifer and the Liberator of Women in the 19th Century Culture. It's actually a great read. So I do recommend it. Great recommendation, Jay Hamza. If you guys haven't, yes, exactly, Rachel, the Per Faxnell book. So do recommend, if you guys have never read that book or heard of it, if that's a topic you're interested in. I know Rachel and I discussed it a little bit when we covered her book, but yeah, I got Occult Feminism, The Secret History of Women's Liberation right over here. So talking with Rachel, she's the one that turned me on to that, and I do recommend it if you've never heard of it. So great recommendation, Jay. Really appreciate that. Let me just make sure I didn't miss any super chats. HP Nubcraft throws in 5, no comment. Oh, and Rachel renewed her membership. Thank you so much, Rachel. She said, did you already cover sexy cinnamon rolls for Jesus? Also, Andrew made a video in 2022 about the Destiny option for women to become Twitch stars. Oh, yes, Rachel, we covered the cinnamon rolls for Jesus and highlighted how sexual that content was. And she's just appealing to all these Christian simps. And we discussed about the attacks on Andrew and by Michael Knowles, or at least his editing team, to frame it that Andrew said something he didn't say, and to, again, pedestalize Nala for some reason. I mean, is Michael Knowles a simp? I know he's married. I think he has children. I know he's like a tradcath. I mean, he's a big papist. But I don't get his obsession of like platforming Nala as some like paragon of virtue of coming back to Christ. It doesn't make any sense to me. So I don't know. Anyways, thank you very much, Jay. Thank you, Rachel. Okay, let's get into our next topic here. I actually have some things that you probably hadn't heard of. This next one was pretty interesting. You guys remember the Antioch school shooting? You probably didn't because it's not in the news that much. It was another mass shooting. Well, this little thread here is pretty interesting, revealing its satanic undertones. And so it says, few That took a long time, mainly because of how big Solomon Henderson's online footprint was. In this thread, I'll try to give a concise breakdown of his links to the groups I've been researching for the past 2 years. So it says Antioch school shooting linked to satanic accelerations. So Solomon Henderson went on the X account, and there's his channel, and he was mutuals with Samantha Rupno, the shooter of Madison last month. Both Henderson and Rupnow were connected to 764/com and the Satanic Acceleration Group Order of Nine Angels. Many people, including myself, tried to warn the authorities about Henderson's account and other accounts connected to Rupno, as it was pretty obvious they were likely planning attacks of their own. And then it says, Henderson was a troll. He identified himself as a black anti-Semitic racist and a groyper and an incel. He blamed Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, Destiny, Hassan Piker, and a ton of other people in a bogus manifesto. In reality, Henderson was influenced by satanic accelerationist groups, which have had a heavy hand in the recent uptick in stabbings and shootings across the globe. This is not a conspiracy. It's real, and literally every Western country has acknowledged it. 764 is designated as a tier 1 terror threat in the U.S. Look it up. Just because you haven't heard about it doesn't mean it isn't real. You can also watch my part 2 video in my pinned tweet to learn more. And she says, the majority of Henderson's manifesto was copied/pasted from other people's writings. Large portions came from Peyton Grindren and Brenton Tarrant, including the portion about Candace Owens. That part is plagiarized and therefore fake. He also copied heavily from the Terrorgram publications like Hard Reset, Matthew Harris's death sentences, and references to other satanic terror groups like MKU and NLM throughout. Refer to my part 4 video and my pinned tweet thread for more details about all this stuff. So let's see what this, and I don't know who this chick is, so I'm not giving any voice to this person as a researcher. I've never really come across her. Don't know who it is, but let's see what video she, dang, well, that's 20 some minutes. There's something about, okay. Anyways, let's go back to the thread. We'll just read the thread. Go back. Okay. So there's a lot of other crap in this bogus manifesto, but I'm not going to spend too much time on it because it's very fake and gay. The full details are in my Substack article linked at the end of the thread. Then she says, part 4, Henderson had another document, a diary, copied and pasted from his Element account, which contained more genuine content. He described living with an abusive mother, struggling with mental health, and growing to hate humanity. There are many references to satanic accelerationism in the diary, including to 764, No Lives Matter, MKU, and certain gross online communities like Skibbity Farms and other pedophile-ridden hellholes. Very prominently, his diary featured his obsession with a satanic individual called Liber of Love. Oh. There was also an entry where Henderson said, my sister has a Discord. It's over. I have to commit the attack. She's 100% going to get groomed. This is a somber indicator that Henderson may have been involved and even possibly been a victim of a grooming or extortion networks like COM or 764. So you can see him posting eat, sleep, extort, LOL. And it's, again, one of these little cat boys or cat girls. I don't get it. These anime figures. And then she has an eye patch with a pentagram that says 764 in it. And then the Discord servers. It turns out I was in a Discord server with Henderson too. He had only made a few posts a few days before the shooting, first posting an archive of Rupnow's content, then posting on MKU video edit. The Discord server contained people affiliated with 764 and other nasty comm groups. They all started panicking after the shooting and were deleting comments, privating channels like crazy as I watched. Then they coordinated a spamming campaign to pin the blame on Encyclopedia Dramatic and Kiwi Farms. The message just sent 3 days ago, or 3 days prior to the attack, Henderson posted an image of a cartoon man in a hockey mask next to a drill sergeant gray, a common Temple of Blood icon, along with a Totenation logo. I guess it's a pedo symbol, and a voice message that said, "Attacking my school for 764 and MKY." So anyways, you guys can check out more of that. This was something that kind of flew under the radar. I imagine most people probably had not heard of the satanic connections to this particular terrorist event here. Now, this was interesting in regards to Anglo-Varangian on X. He's an Orthodox guy I actually know personally. He was looking at the USAID and was trying to see if anything was connected with Orthodoxy. And he found that in 2004, the IOCC received 15.9 million, with 40% coming from government sources. In 2003, government grants made up 68%. Over $200 million since its inception, addressing disaster relief, shelter, refugees, all this different stuff. The IOC is a member of Interaction, a coalition of U.S.-based NGOs focused on overseas humanitarian assistance. It collaborates with various local and national bodies, including the Greek Orthodox Patriarchate and places like Jerusalem, for aid distribution. Reproductive rights. Interaction, which is associated with the IOCC, the International Orthodox Church Committee, I believe is what it sounds. So Interaction has shown support for reproductive rights, especially in the context where access to reproductive health, so abortion, is illegal. So we're finding that the U.S. government was funding the IOCC to advocate for abortion. Interaction has been involved in promoting and advocating for the rights of the LGBT community. For instance, Interaction has made public statements and posts on social media platforms like X, advocating against legalization that restricts rights based on sexual orientation or gender identity. This includes the opposition to bills like Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act, which they view as discriminatory against transgender individuals. So little concerning. I meant to include that in the section when we're going over the USAID stuff, but according to one guy online, he was using the AI systems. I don't know if he used Grok or ChatGPT, but basically for them to scan some of the stuff that's been released about USAID and see if it connected with Orthodoxy in any way. And unfortunately, looks like there are a couple instances. Now, this was a video that was going around that I wanted to share with you guys, and really for no particular news reason, but I thought it's kind of indicative of where we're at in Western civilization. And so this man, a 27-year-old white man here in the United States, begins to break down in tears after realizing he's the only person in his family that is still alive, which is pretty sad. But I'm going to connect this with a larger narrative in the next clip. But check out this video. My heart goes out to him. God bless this brother. Stay strong. But, listen to this.
I actually redone this a couple of times, but my name is Jeremy Hopper, and it's nice to meet y'all, to anyone who sees this. But I'm the last member of my family left. Nobody else. They passed away. I'm 27, and my mama died before she was even 40. My baby brother and baby sister both passed away as infants. Today I realize that if anything were to happen to me today, not a single person on this earth would know I was gone. I truly doubt anyone would care. And I want some record that I existed, that I was here.
And the reason why I included that, I mean, it's a heartbreaking video, but, the breakdown in Western civilization, the breakdown in the family, the breakdown in local communities, it demonstrates the isolation. So this man doesn't have his mother. His two siblings died as infants, but I don't know the situation with his father or whatever it may be, but it was kind of trending around X, and I'm going to connect it with the next one of these guys from Britain going to Poland and noting that the crime is so much less and how much they enjoyed Poland. but they're so reluctant to talk about who's committing the crime in London. And I wanted to connect all these things to demonstrate, as we're talking about this Trump and this cultural change that's happening, is really a return back to like the local importance of your community, your family, your people, and being able to be proud in celebrating that. And not and so many people have been afraid to say that you're proud of whatever your heritage is, especially if it's European, because it's immediately labeled as racist. Now, other people are allowed to be proud of whatever they are. But this breakdown of identity is so isolating. And when we looked at that last man, you know, there's certainly unfortunate circumstances in which his family had passed away. But for him to be so isolated and not belong to any community, to feel like that if he had to post some video to be remembered online, it's an indictment to our culture. It's an indictment to the breakdown of the fabric of the country. It's of the fabric of Western civilization, of Christian values, of support for each other. And so this video I thought was interesting and kind of reminded me of the general problems, the general ethos. These guys go to Poland to like go to clubs and you know, we'll see in the video right here. There's a bunch of gay pride flags right here. So I don't know. Are they at a gay club? I'm not sure. Anyways, they're from London and they're in Poland and they're talking about how great Poland is. But when it comes to, just like Piers Morgan, remember we began the stream with the Tucker Carlson Piers Morgan interview, just like Piers Morgan, when the guy filming the video asked them, well, who's committing all the crime in London? They won't just come out and say it.
What do you guys think about the safety of England versus Poland? We all said at the beginning of the holiday that we felt safer here than we did in London. And we can't deny that. I mean, I've been mugged in London, but I haven't been mugged in Poland. I was stolen off my phone, off my money. But in here in Poland, I would happily walk down the street at 4 a.m. with everything on me. I don't feel no threats whatsoever. And why do you think that is? I think London, you know, it's got a lot of problems, London. It needs overpopulation. Yeah. But I feel like it's not just...
It's overpopulation. There's just too many people. Oh, is that what it is?
Problem in London is a problem in Paris.
What problem does London and Paris share exactly?
I mean, everywhere. No, I'm all good.
Who's committing the crime? See, and then they ask him, and he said, no, I'm good.
Crimes in central in London. I think the crimes are committed.
You see how he's looking at his friend, and his friend goes, no, just fucking say it. And this is what he says.
By people who don't have the opportunities that they should have.
So crimes in London are committed by people who just don't have the opportunities that they should have. Okay. Well, really, it's due to the problems of multiculturalism and the breakdown of communities and identity. So the inability, and this is where I agreed with this tweet, until young men can tell the truth about multiculturalism, things are only going to get worse. It's true. And like, this is the time the Overton window is shift. People got to speak up about diversity. Like, this stuff is falling apart. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. And to see these young men, who there's 3 of them in Poland, who are even afraid to just say the obvious in Poland about the problems of their own country in London. Like, this is such a beta cuckold type weakness that the Western man is faced with. And it's only isolating, and it's going to destroy everybody. And essentially you're going to be overrun. And, you know, we've seen this with the recent protests here in America with all these Mexicans flying Mexican flags in America because ICE is deporting people. And even then, the deportations aren't at the level that I would appreciate and that I would hope for. But it demonstrates the different cultural fabric, the sacred canopy that people live with. It's a different paradigm. These people from Mexico identify as Mexican. They prioritize Mexico. They do not view themselves as Americans. And you cannot create a cohesive nation with people that live under different paradigms of thought, different sacred canopies of symbols and meanings and myths and cultural heroes. They don't have the same cultural heroes. And so the same thing that we see in America with these protests and taking over the streets in like LA and stuff, or Seattle, Washington, you know, at least in America, we have the backbone to talk about it and we have free speech. But in Britain, I mean, my gosh, they're just so cucked. It's ridiculous. You know, I wish they would just stand up. Rachel says they go back to London. They could definitely be arrested for saying something like that and posting it online. That's why they won't say it. It's true. That's absolutely true. But how did the country get like that? I mean, the fact that the people apologize for it, it's just astounding. You know, and Piers Morgan, we have an immigration problem. It's just too many people. It's not the wrong type of people. You know, like Piers Morgan was celebrating, we have so many mosques in London. It's great. We're a multicultural city. Really? Because less than 30% of people that live in London are actually British. You're happy about that? I mean, this is just a total cuckolding of the Western man. And then the last thing I want to talk to you guys a little bit about is the Bryce Mitchell controversy. So Bryce Mitchell, the UFC fighter, has come under scrutiny for a clip that I'm about to show you guys, in which he apparently gives a positive outlook on mean Mr. Mustache Man. And so UFC fighter Bryce Mitchell is under fire after stating he thinks Adolf was a good guy. He fought for his country. He wanted to purify it by kicking the greedy Jews out that were destroying his country and that were turning them all into gays. I totally agree, Alex. Bryce is a cool dude. I like Bryce. He's got some weird ideas. Like he thinks he believes in the flat earth. I've heard somebody post he's got a weird conception of the second coming of Christ and like aliens and extraterrestrials. I don't know. But I like how he at least speaks his mind, says what he thinks. And so unfortunately he's already apologized for this this video clip that I'm about to show you guys, which some people were upset about. I know Sean Strickland, I'm going to play the video of Sean Strickland talking about this clip. And that was his thing, is like, I think I disagree with him, but I think he has a right to say it and he shouldn't have apologized. But regarding with what Bryce is saying, I mean, this is part of this revisionism that's happening right now in the discourse online concerning the post-World War II consensus, is that what we've been told as history, isn't totally accurate. And when you start to dive into the Weimar Republic and what was Hitler doing? How did the mark become so powerful? Why were people supporting his mission and his endeavors and the uniting of the German people and promotion of nationalism? Like, these are good things. I'm not saying Hitler and everything he did was good. Of course not. I think as an Orthodox Christian, the extremes of fascism and communism need to be done away with and rejected. It's not consistent with our faith. But the pillaging of Hitler as opposed to Stalin is what I began with Tucker Carlson. That has to end. That has to end, because the Stalin and the communist regime killed way more Christians and did way more harm to the world than the Nazis did. But anyways, let's listen to Bryce Mitchell and we'll get into some of this controversy.
Hitler, hell and the Nazis. I really don't think that he was, because I honestly think that Hitler was a good guy based upon my own research, not my public education indoctrination. I really do think before Hitler got on meth, he was a guy to go fishing with. He fought for his country.
I love that. Before Hitler got on meth, he was a guy to go fishing with. I thought that was hilarious.
Country. He wanted to purify it by kicking the greedy Jews out that were destroying his country and turning them all into gays. They were gaying out the kids. They were queering out the women. They were queering out the dudes. They were, what her first tranny surgery ever was? Happened to be in Germany before Hitler took over. The books that everybody makes fun of Hitler burning? You know what the books was? Queer books. Hitler burned queer books because Hitler didn't want a bunch of queers destroying his nation. They can't produce children.
But what about?
And he has a point. If you're familiar with like the Nazi book burnings and had to do with all the transgender surgery and experimentation that was going on in Berlin at the time. I mean, Berlin, Germany was like the capital of degeneracy during that period. And people would go to Berlin to these burlesque shows and it would be transgender women and drag queens and just open degeneracy. They're doing the first transgender surgeries then. I forget the Jewish doctor that was performing those. It's slipping my mind right now. I'm sure somebody in the chat's going to know. you know, he has a point in regards to why the German nation galvanized themselves under Adolf to respond to the people that were in many regards oppressing them and devaluing their money, and promoting degeneracy. Yeah, there it is, Hirschfield. Thank you, Rachel. So Magnus Hirschfield was the Jewish doctor that was, you know, he was leading the experimentation of homosexual or transgender surgeries and transgenderism, and was the catalyst for all this sort of gender queer theory regarding, you know, human embodiment and, you know, the plurality of genders regarding sexuality and these different distinctions. So anyways, this was Sean Strickland's response to it. So he was just asked about it. He's in Saudi Arabia. They have a fight this Saturday, which I'll probably be watching with Duplessis. But anyways, check this out. I thought it was a interesting little response. And this was, again, drawing a lot of drama online. So I thought it'd be worth at least addressing here tonight.
How do you feel about the Bryce, though? What do you think he handled that right?
Who, Dana or Bryce?
Bryce.
I feel like he...
And if you guys don't know, Dana White came out and condemned Bryce Mitchell, said that it was deplorable, it was horrific what he said, that the UFC doesn't support it, but that they're not going to reprimand him for what he said, because the thing about the UFC is that they believe in absolute free speech. And so Bryce Mitchell can say it, whether they believe it as an institution or Dana White personally. So, and I believe the UFC is actually owned by a Jewish man that Dana White recently sold it. So I'm not sure how that percentage lays out. I think maybe the Jewish man's majority owner and Dana White owns partial of it, but that's just a little tidbit for it.
He probably handled that pretty badly, honestly.
You know, man, the thing that annoyed me with Bryce is he fucking apologized. Like, if you're going to be a piece of shit, dude, you got to just double down and be a piece of shit, dude. But I want to say one thing on a world stage with all the cameras about my boy Bryce, because I want to defend Bryce. You know, I'm not that kind of defense. You know, what he said a little fucked up. But, you know, what have we been hearing for the last year and a half? We've been seeing on the internet, on the interwebs, on the X, from CNN, from all the media, we've been seeing dead little brown kids being pulled out of fucking buildings. Every time I go on the news, I see Israeli bombs a hospital. Here's a dead little Palestinian girl before she wears a fucking hijab. And like, it's the only time you can see her face, dude, but it's real fucking sad. Like, you can't be a human.
Now, remember, Sean Strickland is doing this press conference in Saudi Arabia in which any woman who's in the room is in a full hijab. So that was kind of funny.
Human being, and you turn the news.
And there was a video of Sean Strickland. At the beginning of the press conference, he walked up there and asked Siri how many Saudi Arabians were part of 9/11. And it said like 15 out of the 20 or something bombers were from, you know, terrorists were from Saudi Arabia. And then he said, oh, I guess Saudi Arabia is buddies with the UFC now. Huh? Interesting.
On and see these dead fucking kids missing limbs and not feel anger. So what does Bryce do? Bryce goes down the rabbit hole. You know, and again, this is just, if anything, this is a reminder on how careful you have to be not to be radicalized. So Bryce goes down the rabbit hole and he says, well, goddamn, I don't want little fucking brown kids to die anymore. I want that to stop. And then what does Bryce do? Bryce says, oh shit, the American military is giving Israelis bombs to bomb little fucking brown kids in hospitals. And then, you know, the natural course of action is, well, why? Well, why is America bombing little brown kids, right? And so you say, and then I would say, you know, do we want little brown kids to be bombed? Like, if you had a button right now and you could stop giving bombs to Israel, would you, to kill little brown kids? Naturally, yes. And you and every other American would, but it doesn't stop. So now Bryce starts thinking, well, fuck, man, maybe the government, and he starts going further down the radicalization path. Well, now maybe Israel owns our government, this and that. So with Bryce, I don't think Bryce is a Nazi. I think Bryce is a fucking idiot from Arkansas who's not educated. And I think Bryce is just feeding into the propaganda. And, you know, how many people actually agree with him? I don't. I mean, to me, the facts are fucking these dirty Palestinians. They go in, they fucking take a bunch of little kids. If someone took my woman, if some Mexican took my woman, I'm grabbing my gun. I'm going fucking full sin. Man, woman, child, full sin. So the reality of the fact is they came in and took a bunch of hostages and Israel was responding. But that's not what you hear. You see dead little fucking kids. So, you know, while I had this moment, Bryce, you are a fucking idiot. You should not have said that. But he is being radicalized and a lot of people support him and it's wrong. But we must all look at the reasons why he said it and how he went down this path and move forward. How do you feel about the Bryce? So,
you know, is he being radicalized? I don't know, because it wasn't that he was full on endorsing, you know, the SS and you know, he was just saying that Hitler had good intentions for things that he did. And, you know, I can understand it to some degree. Yeah. Bagged Milk says, Bryce is the uneducated one. Yeah, things that he said. So, and then Sean saying, well, it's because of the radicalization of what Israel's doing to the Palestinians. I mean, meanwhile, he's talking about October 7th, and Netanyahu knew 3 days before that the Hamas was going to come and kill people. They didn't stop it. So this idea that, you know, Hamas committed this horrendous terror attack and Israel's just responding. Come on, Sean. That's not it either. And so, but in regards to like the Hitler support and stuff like that, that certainly is growing online. But I think it has to do with people breaking out of the World War II consensus and just seeing things differently. And I think eventually they'll find the happy medium where you can criticize both the Stalin communist Soviet Union and Hitler's fascist, you know, Weimar Republic and the Third Reich and all that different stuff. And, you know, there's got to be a point in which the focus is on Christ. I see people trying to say that Hitler was, you know, he was a devout Christian. Not really. I mean, I have a book on my shelf. It's one of Hitler's favorite books. It was in his personal library. It's not the book, but it's a copy of. And the whole thing is on ritualistic magic. The whole thing is on how you utilize magic to attain things that you desire, contact spirits, all that. Is a devout Christian going to have one of their favorite books is a text on ritualistic magic? And the whole thing, you know, when you watch Indiana Jones, the Nazis over in Tibet, this has to do with them getting into tantric practices. And even the swastika that they use is moving counterclockwise, not clockwise. So if you go to China, if you buy vegetarian food, it has a swastika on it. But if you look at the elbows and imagine it spinning, the elbows point in the direction that the swastika spins. A clockwise spinning swastika is representative of the sun. And so in China, all vegetarian food has a clockwise spinning swastika. A counterclockwise spinning swastika typically represents like tantric practices and tantrism. So by Hitler adopting a counterclockwise spinning swastika, he's representing a sort of right-wing tantric nationalism. And so multiple things can be true. Hitler isn't the guy that we're told through World War II books and is the epitome of evil, even though, and he's also not somebody to be elevated and idolized by people in contemporary society. So I lead that to then lead to the next one is Logan Paul's response and him saying, what should happen to Bryce Mitchell for saying such a horrendous thing? I mean, listening to Bryce, it wasn't even that bad. The outrage over it was, I think, kind of over the top compared. All he did was like, well, I think Hitler's a good guy. And before he had meth, he seemed like a guy I'd go fishing with. Well, here's Logan Paul's response.
And I don't know, like I said, I respect Dana's position. For me personally, I would have, he is who he is. People are paying attention to him only because the UFC has platformed him and has given him this stage to perform, and he has. And so he now has an audience. So now if you're making that organization look idiotic or degrading the entire organization because it's not fighter Bryce Mitchell. It's UFC fighter Bryce Mitchell. In my head, I could see a world where there's some recourse there.
Would you remove him?
I love Dana's,
I wouldn't remove him.
I love Dana's angle. I think
I
think the idea that you make sure that everyone knows after a fighter who's a part of an org says something, that the org vehemently disagrees with their position and is willing to go ahead and call this person a fucking moron in front of every reporter in the world, and it goes more viral than his original statement. That's what needs to be done. And that's why, like, we can talk only about Jake and Logan fighting on this podcast. We can talk about a bunch of fun shit, but it's also important for us to use our platform too to talk about this type of shit. Like, bro, it's extremely fucking dangerous. Any opportunity I get to say, fuck Hitler, fuck Nazis. It was always punch a Nazi in the face. You see a fucking Nazi, you fucking punch that motherfucker.
Okay.
Always.
I got.
Who says that? It was always punch a Nazi, bro. It was always punch a Nazi, man. Yeah, he's a Coomer Degen. They're just so unintelligent. I don't understand how these people have such large followings. Who listens to the Logan Paul podcast? Like, I'm legitimately curious who's listening to the Logan Paul podcast to get insightful information. It's absolutely insane. So yeah, he's a Coomer Degen. I think he like had a baby with a porn star or something like that. I don't even remember I don't know porn stars, so I have no idea who it was. She's fairly famous though. If somebody said her name, I probably remember it. But anyways, you see that Logan Paul's a company man. The UFC needs to reprimand him. Why? I think Dana White just saying he doesn't endorse it, the UFC doesn't endorse it, and letting things be as they are. That's probably the best way that's the best course. But I think Logan's got a little bit animosity because of the attacks he had for his little Japanese fiasco, that he wants something bad to happen to other people to say things that are outside the Overton window.
It always was that, and that's the vibe it should continue to be for the remainder of history. Fuck those people and anybody that sympathizes with them.
I got the punishment.
I agree with that, Mike.
Like, for real.
I got the punishment. I think it's great. I think I have it because some people might not like the idea of a fine because it kind of maybe goes against the free speech angle, which I respect.
You make them work hours at a synagogue.
No,
that would be crazy.
You make them fight Ilya Tapuria.
No,
but this is what I don't get is why are people so reluctant to address Jewish involvement in some of the degeneracy in Germany, as well as what was going on with the banking industry and how they were devaluing the German mark, and how, Hitler was praised in America because of how he turned around the economy and got rid of all their debt. I mean, and I'm not here to defend him or his actions or the Holocaust or whatever you guys think about that. I'm not trying to dive into those waters, but just in regards to economic issues, one of the reasons why people in America and why Adolf became, Time's Man of the Year, Time Magazine, is he turned around that economy and got rid of all their debt and became an industrial powerhouse like overnight. And it was all about Germans producing German goods, manufacturing within Germany, and then exporting, creating trade and all that. Yeah, I have Henry Ford's book, Bill Hicks. Yeah, Henry Ford. I have Henry Ford's. It's on an interesting discussion on a particular group of people. I'll do a stream on that. Probably a private stream. I don't know if I can do that. But Patrick had a point that I wanted to. Yeah, shout out to Patrick, my buddy Patrick. He said the more the Hitler talk is shut down, the more appeal he gets. Voldemort effect. It's true. And this is what the whole thing is like. Oh, it's always F a Nazi and punch him in the face. Well, why don't you just have an intelligent conversation? Because the more you just bash these people, and the more, like, it. For example, if Bryce Mitchell came out and said, "You know what? I think Stalin was a good man, and I can actually sympathize with some of the things the communists were." Do you think the outrage would have been the same as it is right now because he talked about mean little mustache man? Of course not. Of course not, because really this post-World War II narrative is a theological consensus for the secular world order. And if that's undermined, it's going to undermine the entire globalist project and the expansion of Israel itself. That's my opinion. So anyways, And then yeah, so that was the last thing I had for you guys for tonight. So let's see, how long was our news stream today? Almost 4 hours again. Oh my gosh. Woo! All right. Well, guys, I greatly appreciate all you guys being here. And let me just double check, make sure I didn't miss any super chats. Smash that like. And remember, I got a stream tomorrow. We'll be going over the history of London. It should be a pretty fun and interesting stream. And I will see you guys then. So let me see. Everybody enjoyed today's stream. Yeah, good stream. Great stream. Thank you, guys. This was fun. Yeah, I'm going to start doing... yeah, exactly. Ilya Taporia, he's pretty based too. I think he would probably agree more with Bryce than with Logan Paul and Mike, whatever his name is. I forget what his name is. But anyways, guys, thank you so much. Rough Hands renews his membership for 22 months. Thank you so much. Rough Hands says bye. All right, guys, I got to get out of here. I have been sitting here all day and then she just did a 4-hour stream. My legs and butt is tired from sitting in this chair. So I will see you guys tomorrow evening. We got a fun sponsor stream. We'll be diving into the Rothschilds, the history of London, how it became a financial capital and how it's always been a multicultural city, and all that different stuff. So I will see you guys tomorrow night. Thank you all again for supporting tonight's stream. Let me just make sure nobody sent anything in on Dono chat. All right. All right, guys. Thank you again. And I will see you all tomorrow. As always, until next time, God bless.